I am EC3. I am a man.
This guy continues and continues to amaze me.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
I'm pretty sure Ishii is held together by cement.
I wasn't supposed to win championships and get to the top of every company I've ever walked into, but I have.
This has to be one of the greatest matches I've ever watched in my life.
Because the Bullet Club, we rule the world.
It is appropriate that we are here in New Orleans because this is where the man's career started and now culminates with an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame for the man they call Sting.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling the Max episode 178. This is the Every Wrestling Fan podcast.
And we are here today to talk a lot of news and a lot of other great things like show reviews. That's right, we have all the things that you like in the world of wrestling and we're ready to talk about them today. We've got some big news about Sting. Yes, that's right. He is entering the WWE Hall of Fame this year. He is the first inductee, the headliner. We're going to get into that and more. Also, a Hall of Famer is going to sell their ring. Who is it? We'll talk about that in news, plus some interesting information about New Japan stars like Nakamura heading over to WWE. When will it be? And some other interesting details on that side as well. So lots of great news this week. Plus, we're going to talk Raw, like we always do, plus NXT. NXT awards were announced. Who were the winners? We're going to talk about then. And, of course, we're going to talk some Ring of Honor, TNA, and, of course, we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week. So we've got a full show ahead of us, guys. I am excited about it. A lot of stuff to get into. But before we do, I know I'll kind of bring something every week, and I want to kind of throw this at you guys because, this has been going on in my world. I've been looking up a few movies here and there. My wife will be visiting her sister for her birthday, and so I've got to find something to do in that time. And let's be honest, when you're married and you watch shows, you watch them together. So that brings up a problem. I can't watch anything on the DVR. I've got to find something else to watch because they're all shows we watch together. So I've been looking at a few movies, of course, look up a few horror films because I'm a big horror film fan, and I looked up a couple movies, and it's so funny, guys. It's almost like there's a resurgence on evil doll movies. There's a movie called Robert out there, which is a true story. There's actually a doll named Robert, and it is actually in Florida. And
what do you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know. And Sean, you should go check it out because if I lived down there, I would, and I may actually go one day. A very real doll that has a real history. They made a movie about him, and then there's another one that's coming out also, and it's called The Boy. It looks very creepy. So I just think it's funny, man. They're bringing up all these new doll movies all of a sudden. It was a big hit in the early 90s, late 80s. Now it's coming back. It's amazing, the world of entertainment. The one movie I am looking forward to, guys, and I really, really want to spend the money on it. I want to spend the $5.99 on Prime to watch Green Inferno. I have been waiting for a long, we've been waiting. Fans of Eli Roth like myself, waiting years to watch this movie. So I've got to get it, got to go check it out. But that's just what's going on in my world. Paul, what's going on in yours?
Working mostly, but if you're going to get Prime, I highly recommend you watch the first season of Man in the High Castle because it's amazing. But if we're going to talk about movies, I'm going to see The Revenant this Sunday with Leo in it, who hopefully will win an Oscar because he very well deserves one.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I really was interested in that as well. I've seen all the previews, and it looks really cool. So, yeah, definitely. You need to tell us how that is next week, because I think there's a lot of people out there really questioning, is this as good as people are saying? Is it not? So, how about you, Sean? What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm just working and kind of just doing things here and there. I'm not really doing a whole lot of stuff that's interesting.
That's okay. Sometimes you got to have that downtime. Sometimes you got to just, get in your little world. And
I'm supposed to represent Formula One as one of the people that's in the Voices of Wrestling Match of the Year panel, and I've had to go back and watch matches because I got to sit here and think of my top 10, and there's so many great matches. It's like, how do I fit them all into 10?
Yeah. That's tough. That's one thing I hate doing, is having to rank things and remember that. I just like to enjoy it. I mean, I get it. People love rankings. It's a list. I don't know what it is about social media now, and even columns. Let's be honest, newspapers, online. It's all about listing things, especially in the world of wrestling. It's all about, what was the best Royal Rumble? What was the best WrestleMania match? I get it why you want to do it, but on the other hand, I'm like, just enjoy them. They're great. So, but Sean, I mean, I had to throw this at you before we get into wrestling. Let's talk about the fact that American Horror Story is something that you've watched, you've enjoyed. Paul, I'm not sure if you have watched the show or if you enjoyed it at all. But Lady Gaga, someone I didn't expect to even be a good actress or do anything plausibly good for that show, has actually, I believe, won a Golden Globe for the show. And well deserved. I can't lie, well deserved. Did a wonderful job this year on that show. Have you seen any of it, Sean?
I have not seen any of it. It's one of those things that it's on my to-do list of things I need to watch. But I know I've actually seen her act in certain things, and she's good. I think people just see her as I mean, she's certainly not like. I think we've seen many singers come on and they're terrible, but you see her get so into roles when she's doing her videos. So I can only imagine when she actually has to do a role for acting that she's actually really good at it. So that's cool that she won, because now she joins Sarah Paulson and why can't I think of her name? The older blonde lady that's always on every single year.
Yes, I can't think of her name right now.
They're the two that have won previously, so that's cool.
It's a great show.
Yeah, I mean, coming from the guys that made Glee, I never thought they were going to make a series like that. And I always loved Glee, and then getting to go, these are the same people? It's like, wait, they can go from that kind of show to this show that sometimes gets really demented and whatever? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, wait till you watch this season. It has been very demented, and I really enjoyed it. It's over now, so Sean, I mean, just wait a little bit longer. It'll be on Netflix before you know it. So, but anyway, guys, enough about that. Really cool stuff that we've been enjoying. A few things behind the curtain, but it's time for us to talk some wrestling. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and jump into some wrestling news now with some quick hits.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right, guys. Let's go ahead and start with Nakamura. Now, why do I want to start with Nakamura? Well, the big news, pretty close to after we had our last show, was the fact that he was stripped of his Intercontinental Championship belt from New Japan. And that, brings up a lot of questions, because there was a thought process for most wrestling fans that, hey, he's just going to finish up in New Japan. He'll lose the belt. He'll come out of there and just, leave to take on WWE's new challenges. But then New Japan decided to grant him an early release and let him go. So that, I mean, to me, Paul, that's something that I find very interesting. I'm just surprised Kenny Omega was not offered the opportunity to go ahead and have that match to win the title. Why do you think all this went down?
I think plans changed is what happened. I think WWE maybe threw some extra money at Nakamura so he could throw it at New Japan to get out of his contract earlier. I imagine there had to be something along those lines because I would like to think that Nakamura wanted to stick around and drop the title or something like that. Or maybe I'm just thinking too highly of him, but and too little of the WWE to be honest. But that's what I think happened. WWE threw some money and Nakamura jumped and New Japan jumped too, and here we are.
Yeah, and see, and you know more about New Japan. You know more about what's going on probably in that front office than I do. I just almost looked at it as, at first glance, just a knee-jerk reaction was, wow, New Japan really is pissed that he's leaving. And they just said, screw it, we don't care, get out of here. If you're not going to be with us, get out of here. But I could definitely see where you're coming from, and I'm probably sure you're probably more correct on that than I am. Sean, what were your feelings when you heard the news?
At first, I thought that's what it was, and then if you go through and look that they gave him a farewell match that's going to be on New Japan World that you can go see with him and Okada and Ishii against Goto, Shibata, and Tanahashi. So, they don't hate him enough to be like, okay, you're not even going to get a farewell match or whatever. No. I think what it was is that we have to remember that New Japan sees these as this is still a sport, sort of. So if you're going in, and this is a beloved person, it's not like Guns and Gallus and nobody gives a crap really if they're leaving as much as Nakamura. If everybody knows that he's going to leave, then obviously he's losing the title. So if you know he's losing the title, then it's not as you can't get invested in the match as much as if it's a total surprise. I think also there's a chance that maybe you're thinking at it from this perspective that maybe you don't think Nakamura's going to have that great of a time over there, and Kenny Omega should still be around, and that's a big match you can do. Later. Kenny Omega even said it himself on Twitter. I'll get Nakamura back when he comes back. So obviously, people are not too keen on the fact that they think Nakamura is going to do that well. Just to me, it's just one of those where there's so many things that could have been factor here, but I have a feeling that it's just one of those where they didn't want it to be obvious. So they think that could hurt ticket sales, so they just said, well, we're just not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And plus, hey, if he's going to beat Tanahashi for the title, is there really a big difference?
Yeah. Yeah, I get you on that, and that makes a lot of sense. The one thing, you bring up something, Sean, that I want to kind of point out that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have negative thoughts with WWE and Nakamura's relationship here and possibly the future of Nakamura. What do you think about the fact that guys like, Tanahashi are supportive and are saying some good things? I mean, do you think that, they're a little split over there on who thinks it's going to do good and bad?
I'd imagine, if Tanahashi obviously, there's a little bit of it there for himself. Because, people are... It doesn't matter that he did this great thing in the G1 and then he went on and had a great second half of the year. People are still going to be saying, okay, there's got to be that time where Tanahashi's going to wear down, whatever. And that obviously Nakamura looked like he was going to be the guy for Wrestle Kingdom 11 with Okada and everything. And Tanahashi can see it as, well, I have my spot secure now because Nakamura is kind of doing me a favor, and he kind of says that in a way. But he's supportive. He says, hey, Nakamura's always been a guy that he kind of lives like that. He kind of just blazes his own trails, and it wasn't unexpected for him to find out that Nakamura was doing that.
Nakamura will be heading over to the NXT Performance Center over here in Orlando, and that'll be in February. So we'll get a chance to, hear about him and his, beginnings with the WB. Paul, I mean, is this something that you really hope that they document? I really hope it is. I wouldn't see this. I hope, man, it's on, season 2 of Breaking Ground or part of this because, this is a big star. It'd be kind of cool to see his transition to the American scene.
It could be its own network special for all we know, too. Nakamura carries that sort of caveat, I think, with the sort of target audience that the network has. And they could turn it into their own little special if they wanted to, so... I'd be all for that.
I would too. I'm already excited about it. Maybe I need to email them and say, "Is this happening?" It needs to. Serious, because I would just love to see that. But we're talking about New Japan, and there's a few names that are going to stick around over there. We know that AJ and Nakamura have left, but we do have some people that decided that, hey, you know what, we love it over here, and we are going to stay in track. Go ahead.
Before we get into talking about the ones that stayed, really quick, there was a lot of talk about Nakamura with his he smokes a lot, which is not something that happens a lot in this country that much anymore. We obviously have the laws that you can't smoke everywhere. You cannot smoke in there's very few dining establishments that you can smoke in now. And then he's got the injuries and stuff, and then just adjusting to the WWE system. Do you think he's going to have the same problem adjusting that Hideo Itami does, or do you think he adjusts better than Hideo does? Because they both have the issue of not speaking English either, so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to struggle all that much. Obviously you have the cultural differences and all that fun stuff that comes along with moving from one country to another, but does he struggle more than Hideo? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think, as Paul's talked about, he's such a sports entertainment ready guy that the charisma of the character thing will supersede a lot of the. I mean, we already know he's a great wrestler, so it's like there's not a whole lot. You don't have to teach him. Does he have to learn where the cameras are and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, other than toning him down, which I'm sure they're going to have to do, I don't think there's a whole lot other than the whole. He likes America already. I think it's a different thing than Hitami because he likes America. He's been over here on American tours. That's part of the reason why he's doing this, because he wants the challenge of competing in America and everything. Whereas Itami's just doing this because it's part of it is probably money and for the challenge, but also for the more guarantee that he knows he's going to have a job, considering that Noah wasn't in the best place when he left. So,
Yeah, that's very true. And, I think all this encompasses, a new journey for, definitely Nakamura, and it's something that Hitami has done, and he's been here, and it's just interesting to see these guys transition, especially from the Japanese scene, because they, have had a very, different cultural experience, especially when it comes to the wrestling business, because they have the Young Lions, they have all this different stuff going on over there compared to what they have here and the systems they have in place here in the American wrestling scene. So I'm really curious. That's why I want that special to happen. I've got to see it.
Oh man, that would be awesome. They do that special.
It would. And, we're also going to get, Gallows and, of course, Anderson over here in the States, too. They're going to be going to NXT. So, it'd be kind of cool to see those guys come over here and, to see, them work with some of these other tag teams, too. That'd be something cool. I don't know if it's its own special, but, just to see them work, because they're definitely great veterans and could definitely help some of these young guys.
Definitely, what they did and they've shown that they don't have any problem doing this, obviously letting you get to know their wrestlers in NXT. I mean, they did it with Apollo Crews, with Baron Corbin, with Finn Balor. So these high-profile guys, I'm sure they're going to... I don't know if they're going to go try to get some of AJ's TNA stuff, but he has enough not TNA stuff that they can build something around that. So,
Yeah, very true. But we do have some guys that are staying in New Japan. Tama Tonga, Bad Luck Fale, and Rocky Romero have all re-signed with New Japan. Paul, what do you think about that? Do you think that was the right move?
For Fale, for sure. Fale could use more seasoning. I don't know how well he would do in the WWE currently, just because he's another big guy. He has the look that they're after, sure, but his wrestling skill isn't up to snuff, I would say. Tama Tonga sort of makes me sad. But with a lot of the card movement that's going to be going around, maybe Tama Tonga finds himself in a better scene with the tag team division, or with Fale, or maybe even finds his way to the Intercontinental Title scene or something like that. And then Rocky Romero, I think, is pretty much at where he's going to be. I still find the story of him using WWE to leverage a 2-year deal, though, is fairly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think that that's like something that he won't consider later, but I think he feels like, look, my career's not done yet, and I think he would feel like if I go to NXT as a coach, then I'm obviously admitting to myself that I'm done in a way. So, that might be his on, keep doing it. If you can keep doing it at a high level, why not? I think the interesting thing is that all these guys got 2-year deals now. So obviously the 4-man exodus woke them up and made them realize that, okay, we got to start doing business differently. And who knows if they pick up the WWE model and before the year is even up, they start trying to re-sign guys, and all that stuff. So there's no way that January comes and, you're on this 2-year deal and your 2-year deal is up and they all do this again, So that's the thing. But the weird thing about wrestling, I think with wrestling as opposed to, which I guess you can do this in different ways if you have friends in a certain company or whatever, but I think with wrestling it's so different than with sports, or other sports in general. Like, I was listening to John Pollock, and he was saying that he thinks, wrestlers should be allowed like the last 30 days to kind of be able to go and see if there's interest from other parties, instead of having to be bound by this feeling of, okay, well, I have to resign, and if I don't, then the company's going to look bad on me, and, they're either going to give me less money if nobody picks me up on the other end or whatever. Just, I know it's wrestling, so probably the government will never get their hands into that, but I don't know, I think it's a fair thing to bring up, that kind of wrestlers kind of get the short end of the stick when it comes to trying to figure out what your value is without having to basically wait till your contract's over. Because some people won't let you work without a contract,
Well, let's be honest. I mean, the wrestling business has never been really fair to the wrestlers themselves. The talent has never been the number one. They've never been number one at all. They are when it comes to, hey, we need to push you, or we need you to sell T-shirts, and we need you to sell tickets, put butts in the seats. But honest treatment of them, for the most part, is not great. I mean, you all see the situations with, health insurance that we've often heard wrestlers talk, man, we really need a union, but there's no way they could start a union because, of course, then they're blackballed. So it's just a sad situation, Sean, and I like to think, that would be a great plan to put into place, but I don't know if promoters would be interested in even trying to do something like that.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah.
Possibly haven't ever?
I don't know. A lot of stuff would have to change in wrestling for any of that really to happen. It's been this way for so long too. Change is hard to come by, especially in this where you still have wrestlers treated as independent contractors and all that fun stuff. So,
yeah,
true.
We'll see. The future may tell a different tale, but I just don't see it right now. That does not look good in the cards for them. But let's also get into something that's also interesting in the world of wrestling, and of course in WWE itself. We're seeing WWE bring a lot of new talent over from New Japan because there are certain situations going on with the health of all the wrestlers. John Cena, plenty of other people are injured and out. So they're trying to basically complement the roster by adding, veterans, people from other countries, and of course maybe bring up some of the NXT stars to kind of help bolster the roster, get ready for WrestleMania 32. And that's good news. And there's a few little storylines mixed into this that I think are very interesting. Because once again, it's not just these main stars. We were also seeing people like Paige. Paige has a concussion apparently. Rusev has some injuries. He'll be back sooner than later. But some of the other storylines are going to have to help take over for some of these other superstars. Kind of like what we saw not long ago in this past week, I believe. Kevin Owens actually showed up at an NXT live event to confront Sami Zayn. So that could bring up some old wounds, and of course, maybe rekindle a feud that we were hoping that we'd get a chance to see be finished. I think that's great, and really interesting to see them do that, especially with Kevin Owens being a main roster guy now. Do you like this, Paul? Do you like the fact that they're kind of rekindling this a little bit?
I have been a rather large proponent of them rekindling this for a long time. The great part about Sami Zayn is he has a lot of unfinished business in NXT still. He never really got to finish off his NXT title reign, so there's that story there. I've been really wanting them to revisit him and Cesaro. Obviously, that's complicated now with Cesaro's injury, but that's something I would love to see them tackle again in NXT. And of course, obviously, the larger elephant in the room is Kevin Owens, who that feud got cut short with after due to the injury as well. So, totally down for this. Hopefully, it gets brought up to the main stage, like it'd be spilling over into the main roster. I think would be a really great way to bring Sami Zayn back up to the roster. So, totally down for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've said it that at one point, I wanted it to be maybe a WrestleMania match, but perhaps if we, and honestly, I mean, if things are going like we think they're going, Kevin Owens really doesn't have this big time match, so it's still possible. There are things personal enough. You can bring up the footage from NXT, and that's all you got to do. Fill people in with that. So, I think it's a great thing if they get to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think it's something that people would be very interested in, and it would also, keep that intrigue from NXT. You'd have a lot of those NXT fans hanging on if they did decide to take it on to that next level of the main roster, or even just do it on NXT. I mean, that's fine, too. Another storyline we're looking at here is WWE's trying to be creative. They're trying to find other things to help bolster the roster, maybe even something that would just help some of these factions. And one of the factions is the Wyatt family. And we've heard rumors about Sister Abigail. Could she be, an actual person? Would they be willing to do that? We've heard rumors of different names. Now it's starting to heat up a little bit. Now we're starting to hear more information, and there's also a name attached to this, possibly, that name being Santana Garrett as a Sister Abigail. Sean, I mean, do you think that would be a good fit?
She just posted that picture. I don't know if she's really going to be considered for that or not. If you heard our dear friend Patrick Ketza on their Wrestling Unwrapped episode, you can hear how much he can't stand Santana Garrett, which made me laugh having to produce the show while it's going on. But just she showed a little bit of character with the TNA stuff, being Brittany and all that. So she showed she can play that maybe a little bit. The thing is, it would be weird if we still don't know whether it's supposed to be a mother. Is it really a sister? Is it a sister like, some people are saying like a sister like a nun? I mean, what are we like? What are we? This is why I've always been a proponent of this. Always needs to be an imaginary figure. If you make this a person, you stand the chance of really hurting Bray Wyatt if things go south. And then, not only that, the only other way you can make things work is you have to bring in another woman to like beat down Sister Abigail, or you have to have the Wyatt family dispose of Sister Abigail, and then, you know, then you got men on women violence. I don't know if WWE's going to go for that.
What do you think, Paul?
I've agreed with you on this point several times about them needing to keep Sister Abigail a separate figure, a mysterious figure, somebody they talk about but never really touch on what she is, because she brings so much to the table just as this overbearing element to Bray Wyatt's character that keeps him sort of mysterious. I think if you cast her, it sort of takes away from all that, and not to mention, I don't really know how much use you're going to get out of her main roster wise outside of a managerial role. And if that's the only way they want to keep her, then maybe it's worth a go. Santana Garrett, I don't think is somebody you cast in that role, though. She doesn't have that feel of being in the Wyatt family look for me. And I don't know if there is a female wrestler out there who really does capture the look. There's somebody in the Wrestling to the Max group who mentioned a Crazy Mary Dobson, who has certainly the personality to fit the character. But I don't know if she's a fit either. So I think you do more harm than good casting the role.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you guys on that. I think that really just the ambience, every time he talks about Sister Abigail, it's us creating her. It's the fan trying to decide who she is to them. And, you know, I think that that's a great way to keep people interested in what Bray Wyatt's doing. He can make up all sorts of stories. Once you bring that to life, all those stories have to be shown. Then you actually have to see it in the physical sense, and that takes away a lot of the mystery. That takes away all the things you're imagining on your own. So I think that definitely would hurt Bray Wyatt in the end, because even if it was, let's just say Santana Garrett came and did this and pretended that she was Sister Abigail, and Bray Wyatt found out that, hey, you know what, this is not Sister Abigail, or maybe he realized he was duped. What are they going to do? Like Sean brought up, there's no, you know, men on women violence in this company, so they would really have no significant role.
And then you got to mention, like, what if WWE, you know, because they like to do this sometimes, where they just don't give a crap, and they'll make her a diva, and she'll wrestle the other divas, and she'll show up in you know, the pictures, and you know, just I can already see that happening.
I hope not. We'll have to see, but you know that is, you know, a rumored, you know, situation going on there, and we'll have to find out if they actually do something with this, or maybe this is just a thing that they threw against the wall and wanted to see how it fall. You know, once again, you know, there are different storylines we're having, you know, right now because of the fact that WWE is depleted. This also includes WrestleMania 32, where a lot of stars will be missing that show, and that's the biggest show. They're trying to fit 100,000 people in the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and the only way for that to happen is for them to have people that people care about at the show. So that brings us to two of the biggest names in wrestling lore, and that is The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Both are said to be there. Rock is probably going to have a match. Stone Cold Steve Austin will not have a match, but he is supposed to be there in some role. We don't know that role. Austin kind of teased a little bit, said that there are things in the works, but, you know, nothing finalized. So I'm assuming either he's going to be in someone's corner or he's just going to show up and be a figurehead. I don't know. But just those two names alone being at WrestleMania 32 mean a lot to not only WWE, but to fans as well. So, I mean, Paul, what do you think about this? I mean, I think it's great, but do you think this is a little desperation move? Are you excited about it? What are your thoughts about this?
We knew this was coming the whole way. Every star that they could get their hands on to show up at this show is going to be there in some form or fashion, whether it's The Rock, whether it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, whether it's these people out of left field that they signed from New Japan or something. They're going to put as much star power as they can get behind this to sell as many tickets as they can. And if they can announce it, great. If they can't, then and you buy a ticket and you're surprised, then that's even better. But any way they can get as many legends involved as possible is not so bad, so long as it's not overbearing. Because right now, what you really want to capitalize at this moment in time with your roster is try to make as many stars as possible at WrestleMania that you can. And they have an opportunity to do that. And let's just hope that they don't waste as much of their precious time that they have in these 4 hours on some of these overly long legend segments that we sort of gotten before. So
That's what I'm worried about too, because I mean I can see Stone Cold being like a special referee or something like that. And this is Texas. I mean, he was going to be there. If they had him in New Orleans, if they had him in he was supposed to be at 31, but I guess he didn't know that. And no way they're going to miss out on this here. With it being in Texas, it's like you already know Undertaker's going to be there. The Rock's going to be there. So it's like they're already talking about Triple H being in a prime position. So it's like, they're going to pull out all the stops right now because you've got your two big stars injured, and you got some other, and three of your major stars injured, and then you got Cesaro and a few others. So it's like, goodness, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Sean. I mean, they're trying to do everything, and we're already looking at Roman Reigns versus Triple H at WrestleMania 32.
There's even reports of like Trish talking about she still could do one match.
Wow.
I mean, watch what if they if Paige's concussion is serious or something, and something else happens with Sasha, and they go, oh well, we need to even pull out all the big guns for the Divas division too.
I'd watch Charlotte and Trish though. I mean,
I'm not saying no. I'm saying that's just one of those. After all the stuff you've done with the Divas division, to kind of have to do that at the end would kind of, I think, suck a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, but no matter what it takes, as long as they bring the people in that the fans will be interested in, that's what matters here. It also adds a little bit of excitement, if you ask me, because we're going to get a chance to see people that we never thought we'd get a chance to see maybe come back. And if everybody was healthy, we wouldn't. Let's be honest about that.
They'd still find a way to put The Rock and Stone Cold on there, but it would probably be one of those long, where everybody just comes out at once segments, and it's overly long, and it kind of messes up the show, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, you just may not get what you want, and this year they're going to have to force feed things that they want to do, and then, of course, the things that they can't handle, they're going to try to badge it and patch it up with big, huge names. So we'll have to, we'll get more of that narrative as time goes on. Of course, we're on the road to WrestleMania during the Royal Rumble and all that. But we're going to mention a few other things before we kind of move on to another part of this. And that is the fact that, we are going to see lots of names around right now, but the one name that I think all of us are really intrigued to kind of find out what's really going to happen with this guy, and that's Tyler Breeze. Now, we all had questions about Tyler Breeze coming in and joining the main roster. He'd been a part of NXT for so long, like the longest tenured guy there, and he finally got his opportunity. Triple H likes Tyler Breeze. He likes his work ethic. He likes a lot of things about him. Vince McMahon, on the other hand, does not think highly of him. Doesn't really, think that this kid can do anything in the company. What do y'all think about this, Paul? I mean, looking at this, do you think Tyler Breeze is ever going to get a fair shake with Vince in control, or do you think there will be a way he can get up?
Never say never, but right now he wasn't put in a great position to succeed. He wasn't given a whole lot of tools, I think, to succeed on the main roster. And especially with the current state now, I don't know, with Vince around, if he's not a giant fan of him, obviously things don't look good for him because we talk about it on here all the time. Vince is the one in control right now. If that starts to change, well, then maybe you might see him move up some. And, like I said, never say never. Vince's attitude changes like the wind.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's sad because, we really like Tyler Breeze. We see the point in that character. Triple H compared him to a Dolph Ziggler. Like, he should be able to be on that level. And, I mean, they're obviously they're rather similar. But to kind of tone him down and make him not have a direction, and then he's just a guy now on Superstars, and it's like, geez, at least on NXT he had guys that he could wrestle, that would put on some pretty good matches, and there'd be more people watching it, because I bet you maybe not on a global stage, but in the U.S., I bet there's probably just as many people that watch Superstars, because it's relegated to the network too, that watch NXT, so I feel so bad for him. It sucks.
It really does. It is a shame.
The perils of Vince McMahon not finding you interesting.
Yeah, hopefully there's another avenue. Hopefully Triple H can find another avenue for Tyler Breeze to give him an opportunity, maybe to surprise Vince or to impress him at least. So I think that's one of the people that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I have, a lot more hope for him if he was in NXT, but right now I'm a little bit concerned on the main roster. We have to talk about the Hall of Fame since we're talking about Wrestlemania, and this year it was announced on Raw, the first inductee, the guy that's probably going to headline this event, Sting. That's right. He is finally going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And, I mean, this is something that I think all of us expected. This guy definitely deserves it. He's a huge name, especially when you talk about, people that have, exemplified just the guys that have it. Someone who has been a legend in wrestling for quite a while now. Sean, I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, do you think this is the right time, the right place to induct Sting?
Oh, yeah, he lives in Texas. I mean, it's not WCW country, but it doesn't have to be. This is where he lives. I see it as just they see it as maybe we're not going to test the waters to see if he wrestles again. Let's just go ahead and do it. And it also provides a headliner, and that's what you need.
Absolutely, and especially with a crowd that's coming to Dallas for this WrestleMania that's going to be so diverse. I imagine you could get away with any number of people this year and still draw a huge crowd. So, Sting, obviously one of the bigger names, not in the Hall of Fame. I see a lot of people complaining about certain people, why he's going in now when he hasn't done a lot in the WWE. It's very clearly been stated, I think, by me a couple times, and I think, inadvertently by WWE. They're creating a wrestling Hall of Fame, not just one for the WWE. So, well-deserved, all that good stuff.
It's just, to me, that's so dumb. Like, they've made it rather apparent. It's not just WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, when they induct the Gagnes or Vern Gagne, and they induct other guys that have had nothing to do with WWE, or guys that have had very loose ties to WWE because Fujinami, who they had the working relationship, but he wasn't a WWE wrestler, with Inoki, all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure Liger might get inducted at some point. Like, it's just, who knows? He couldn't get inducted this year. We don't know. I mean, so that's the thing. I mean, to me, I think the bigger, that's why I just think of it as, this is Vince's Hall of Fame. He puts in whoever the hell he feels like that day, and, that's why they have the other Hall of Fames out there, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Observer Hall of Fame, the way they do it, like it's almost like baseball, where you have to have all these qualifications and whatever. Like, if you want the really technical things, those are out there. If you want the WWE who just inducts whoever the hell they feel like it that year, there's that.
With the WrestleMania being in Texas, who do you think is also almost a lock, or a possible lock for this Hall of Fame?
Jeez.
Freebirds. If there was ever a time you're inducting Michael Hayes, it better be right now. Poor guy if he doesn't get inducted this year. I don't know when.
Yeah, I mean, the Freebirds were a hot act down in Florida, too, though, so...
I mean, I guess, if it's in Orlando next year, like they're maybe rumoring, I guess you could, but...
I've heard Stan Hansen's name being dropped.
Hansen would be cool. There's another... Was he ever in WWE at all?
Yes, he was.
He was? Okay.
Yeah. Not overly important role, but he was certainly in it during the 70s and 80s. Stan Hansen, though, would be a great name. That dude deserves to be in every single type of Hall of Fame you could think of.
Yes.
Tough Man Hall of Fame, Japanese Wrestling Hall of Fame, Best Lariat in Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I gotta love that. Another name, and Jim Ross actually dropped this name, Jacqueline.
Jackie would be good.
Yeah.
Also a local person.
You get your diva fill right there. And like you said, local person. I'm trying to think of you got your tag team thing with the Freebirds. Even though what did she Michael Hayes, because the rest of them are gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I just don't know if they're ever going to have one in Canada again. So I don't know if Martha ever agrees to Owen, if it matters where that is. I mean, I would think with the DVD coming out, she might say yes this year, but who knows if that ever happens. I'm trying to rack my brain. I mean, because we've also seen it's not always local people. It's not always people that they try to make it mostly about people that worked in that state or had something to do with that state. I mean,
I tell you what, if that petition got any steam, the Bulldog certainly deserves to be inducted as well. I can't remember if the Dynamite Kid's been inducted or not.
No,
either,
he's not, and I wouldn't be surprised if Vince is waiting for him to pass along. Sadly, he isn't the most nice guy either. So,
right. He's very bitter as well. So.
I had one in my head, and now I can't. Gary Hart would be awesome if you wanted somebody from like World Class. You wanted to fill like a non-wrestler role.
Gary Hart would be perfect.
Yeah. That was the only one I had that was a Texas person. I mean, you could always. I'm totally joking with this, but Action Jackson could appear. Just.
Oh my God. There could be, any number of names, and of course, this year I'm sure there will be a celebrity inductee. And I was trying to think of a local link, at least in Texas. I can't think of a celebrity inductee or someone who would be inducted in those senses.
But I mean, they've got a few that deserved that should have already been in at this point.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Skandar Akbar's been inducted. He's a guy who does a lot of the local training here in Dallas, but he's the manager for Devastation Incorporated for World Class and in WWF as well. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you've got Cyndi Lauper's never been inducted. There's other celebrities that I can't think of right this minute. Shoot, I don't know why it's totally escaping me, but
maybe they could just induct Hugh Jackman this year.
No, you know what? I wouldn't put it past them if they do.
Oh man,
Chuck Norris.
Ooh.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
He's never done anything with the company though, has he?
Yeah, he did some stuff for him during Survivor Series back in the early '90s.
That is awesome.
He
I'm
did
all
a run-in
that.
for the Undertaker's casket match and roundhouse kicked some poor sucker.
That is awesome. I gotta rewatch this.
Network, buddy. It's out there for you. It's waiting.
I gotta go check it out. Thank you, Paul. I love in the eyes of the Ranger, you know. But anyway, you know, it is, you know, there's a lot of things, you know, that are a part of this Hall of Fame. A lot of names we could drop in here, and this is going to be very interesting. And now I'm really lobbying.
If they didn't have Sting, I would have thought maybe like The Rock could have been one, but I mean, I think they're definitely going with the one headliner from now on because they're starting to run out of guys that are headliners at this point. You know, you got. Obviously, Taker would have been perfect too, but I think he probably deserves his own Hall of Fame where he's the front guy. So, plus, you know, there's still that whole, like, he doesn't know if he's retiring this year or not. So.
Yeah.
Taker could just have a whole event dedicated to him going to the Hall of Fame and just him.
That's right. They could. And then, you know, it probably will be a network special by that, you know.
I wonder if they try to put Kane in the Hall of Fame that same year with Taker or not. Because he's not a headline guy. He's not a guy that you're going to be like, oh, well, Kane's going in, guys. Everybody buy tickets.
I don't know. I heard someone mention this the other day. It wouldn't surprise me if they put Taker and Kane another time, and then they bring them both back for the Brothers of Destruction. It wouldn't surprise me if they did.
You're
something
really
like
getting
that.
cute at that point if you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just saying that there's that possibility. You just never know with them. And of course, you know, that could possibly happen, you know, not too far from now. I think The Rock, of course, would be, you know, hey, Orlando would be somewhere close to where, you know, he played college ball.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, you have other names like Zeb Coulter who deserve it. So,
That's true.
We'll see.
Just
we'll see
for
how they do that.
All the booking, all the wrestling, all that stuff, you know.
Puerto Rico and all, yeah.
Well,
So
we'll be trying to buy tickets for that tomorrow.
yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to, you know, at least checking out this Hall of Fame this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we teased at the beginning of this show about a Hall of Famer selling their ring. And if you want to buy this Hall of Famer's ring, it is going to be on eBay. If it's not
no
already.
longer on eBay.
Oh, they took it off? She took it off finally?
She might have privately sold the thing.
Okay. But Sunny, that's right. She's back in Quick Hits once again. And, of course, getting rid of her Hall of Fame
never
ring.
escapes it.
Never. If she's not taking her clothes off, she's selling jewelry. So, here you go. So, you know, once again, I mean, Sean was, you know, me and you kind of talked before we got on the air.
She did also plead guilty to a bunch of her DUIs, too. So.
Oh, boy. That's beautiful. But we were talking about, you know, before the show that you had a conversation with somebody, and the person you were talking to didn't think that she deserved to be in the Hall of Fame if she sold the ring, right?
Yes. You know, we were having this conversation that she said that she thinks that if anybody that sells their ring should be taken out of the Hall of Fame. And I said, well, the problem with that is they're judging that based on your in-ring work. Now, if you're Jimmy Snuka or you're Chris Benoit and you killed someone while you were wrestling, even, you know, then that's where you draw the line. You say, okay, well, definitely you can't be in the Hall of Fame, or we might have to really take you out of the Hall of Fame. But, like, you know, we see this with sports all the time where especially personnel guys, you know, like coaches and whatever, or even players that get hard on their luck, whether it is drug-related or not, you know, which, you know, Sunny obviously had her troubles with that and still does, sort of. You know, if you choose to sell your ring, that's your issue, right? Like, that's your property. You know, if you want to sell it, then that's on you. You know, WWE shouldn't be taking you out of the Hall of Fame because you decided to sell your own property. I just didn't think it. Just because you don't have a physical Hall of Fame somewhere, I don't think it should exclude you from selling it or whatever. Part of her argument was that you can also go to Canton, you can go to Cooperstown and see these the bus and all that kind of stuff. There's no physical Hall of Fame, so like the only like material thing that you have is that ring. So it kind of means more, I guess, than like a Super Bowl ring in that sense. But, you know, I don't know. Do you agree with her statement or not? I just don't see what the big deal is if you sold the ring or not.
I mean, I've always felt like selling off your ring sort of a slap in the face to what you accomplished. Even when football players or baseball players or basketball players do it, even if, you know, you need the money, I understand material needs come first. But it's always like, I mean, I won the Super Bowl, but, you know, big deal. Here's a ring for, you know, $50,000, whatever.
I guess they think they're always going to have the memories, which, you know, we've seen when you get older, that's not always true, but, you know.
Especially with the way some of these people treat their bodies.
Yes, especially football players, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, it's interesting, you know, because of the fact that, you know, Sunny's been so controversial, and you would think that she would try to hold on to any relevance in the WWE, especially with, you know, the behavior that she has, but she just seems to, you know, kind of use it as a ploy to make money, even if it's, you know, selling something physically or just using her image. And so it's a, you know, sad story in a way, but I guarantee you this won't be the last Sunny story you're going to hear in Quick Hits. So. And one last thing, guys, before we move on, because we really need to move on and talk about some of these shows, especially Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about Lucha Underground. They signed a Canadian deal, and this deal is actually, you know, going to be something where they could be a part of Canadian TV. Sean, I mean, you were kind of telling me about this, and it's kind of interesting. The Latino TV, right?
Yes, it's Latino TV. It's apparently not, even though it seems like it's a Spanish station, it's not. They actually do not have a Spanish partner for Lucha Underground this year, as of right now. So they may not even be in Spanish this year. So that's cool for Canadian. I don't know what the outreach is for Latino TV, but that's cool.
Paul, I mean, this is, to me, is great news because, you know, anything that can get Lucha Underground out there is positive, and for them to be, you know, getting into Canada, to me, it speaks volumes. We just, you know, heard a little bit of news of AAA trying to make their own TV show, and, you know, that is something I think because of what Lucha Underground's done, some of the success they've had, I think AAA also wants to get in on the goods here. What do you think about this?
The Lucha Underground, not only on screen but off screen, is quickly becoming one of the more interesting things to talk about in wrestling. Not only are they sort of starting to expand with this deal here, but yeah, like we just mentioned, their AAA is trying to source out a English specific show for their product now, instead of just having Lucha Underground, which is its own distinct thing, even though Lucha Underground is still technically a part of AAA. It's really cool for Lucha Underground, obviously. I question their future maybe a little if AAA bows out, because I don't know how much AAA is really invested or even at all connect. Like, I'm curious as to how deep they run within the company, obviously outside of the talent. But man, yeah, like this is really cool. And then, you know, the show starts up again, I think on 27th, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Good time for all this to be bubbling.
Yeah. Definitely. And we finally will get a chance to review that show, and it's going to be a blast. We love doing it. We're excited about covering it once again. It's been way, way too long. So, but, you know, to me, once again, this is positive news for Lucha Underground. I hope there's more continued news on these standards, you know, them joining other countries. And getting a chance to get their name out there, because I definitely think they deserve it, and I think they can definitely reach a new genre of wrestling fans. So, well, guys, let's go ahead and move on out of here. We've had a lot of news, a lot of great discussion, but we've got to talk Monday Night Raw. There's some things that happened here that also lead up to Royal Rumble, so we need to get into that. And, of course, don't forget, people, we're also going to talk about NXT, Ring of Honor, and, of course, TNA later in the show. And are going to do a Superstar of the Week. But right now, it's time for Raw.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
This week's Monday Night Raw was live from New Orleans, Louisiana, the site of WrestleMania 30, of course. And, well, there was, I'm starting to get really, I don't know, my head's starting to hurt with these opening segments. The thing that stood out to me about this opening segment, I don't know about it, you guys, but Stephanie really seems like that person that's helping their dad out in the nursing home try to remember the things they're supposed to say and do. Like, Vince looked really awkward to me. Seemed like he was forgetting things, and Stephanie had to speak in front of him, and like when they were trying to do the whole like say booty at the same time, it was just bad. And boy, I don't know. But and then I just hate that whole thing where they have the wrestlers all on the stage and just it's like, let's just dress down everybody 'cause this is great. Like, no, it doesn't. To me, it just makes your talent look stupid. But what do you guys think it makes your talent look stupid, or do you enjoy this opening segment?
I mean, it was fine. It's average. It's what you get every week now. But I just feel like every star on or every person on the roster, I guess star is probably a little loose term now, but everybody you have on your roster out on the stage just seems like overly cliched now. Because it used to mean something. Whenever everybody came out there, it was a big deal. So either somebody had died and they want to recognize them, or there's a big angle getting ready to go down. And now it's just like, what was the point? There's no point.
Which I thought maybe, I was sitting there thinking about at first, I was like, did David Bowie have something to do with wrestling? I was like, no, not that I know of.
Even if he didn't.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't, you still remember David Bowie. Say Alan Rickman, who sadly died as well today.
Yeah.
Every person in the world stand on that stage and remember Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman was great. So David Bowie was great. I'm sure people will probably be wondering why we did not. We've been copyright flagged for songs like 3 times in the past like month and a half. So I finally kind of Gary and I decided that it was probably better if we stopped having the song in the intro. So if you guys are wondering why we did not do a David Bowie song there.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I'm just getting sick of it. I'm just like, you know what? We're going to move on, do some other kind of music because, yeah, it's just too much. But, definitely, sad about David Bowie for sure, and Rickman as well. But, going on with what this opening segment was and everything that it entailed, it just became a beating like usual. I mean, it's fine. I get what they're trying to do. Did you see that
thing when I'm talking about with Vince, though? Like,
yeah.
He just seemed totally off.
Yeah. Vince is getting older, and I don't know if that has anything to do with this. I'm just not enjoying Vince like I used to enjoy him. There is something off about him. It probably does have something to do with age. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's not. I'll say it this way: they have not let him be Vince because of their push of Roman Reigns so much. Vince is looking like a clown. Both him and Stephanie. But I mean, it was last week when Stephanie's falling over the ropes. Things like that. I mean, come on. This is not a strong authority, not at all. And I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't talked about this, I haven't even mentioned it, but do you find the fact that Triple H is nowhere to be found in this whole thing confusing? Because he's not injured, and you see him on NXT, so unless you're just watching Raw every week, do you really believe that Roman Reigns beat the crap out of him that bad he's going to be out an entire month? I don't buy it. I don't understand why Triple H hasn't become more a part of this, or them explain why Triple H isn't there.
You got me there.
I think they explained it pretty much last week. or was it the first week that they started doing this, where he said Triple H is going to get his vengeance, so you're not going to see it coming. They obviously don't want you to know where Triple H is.
So until then, Stephanie takes a verbal beating, Vince takes a literal beating. Which, okay, yeah, I mean, that I can see that, and I understand that. They're waiting for the payoff, because the payoff's going to come later. They can't pay this off this quickly, which I get that. So that's just something I throw out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Sean. Vince is not Vince. This whole opening segment was okay, but it just got... once Roman Reigns gets in the ring, it tends to start getting cheesy anyway.
It's not even that. It's just... Reigns looks like this... I don't like the way that Roman Reigns gets portrayed in these things. It's not good for him, honestly.
We had so much hope,
one last week was okay, where he kind of got in her face, but then they make these things last way too long, and just whatever. And then they go right into a match with Dean Ambrose and Sheamus, which, I'll give them credit. I mean, the barricade was like the world's biggest, furniture piece on this show. I mean, I don't know how many times things were the barricade here, the barricade there. Everything was the barricade this show. But I'll give them credit. They tried to make it to have some kind of intensity or whatever. I couldn't get into Sheamus and Ambrose.
I got into it because the live crowd got into it. They were popping for the right spots. I feel like Ambrose and Sheamus really worked well together. I enjoyed this match overall, personally. And then, you get your Owens coming in.
I cared about it when Owens showed up. That's, maybe it's because I don't care about Sheamus.
Yeah, Sheamus is really a guy that has just rubbed people the wrong way. I think that Sheamus is a talented guy. I think he has a lot to offer. To be honest with you, though, I don't think anybody is going to take him serious until he kind of changes his look, changes demeanor, and gets out of the hokey, corny, group that he's basically, I don't know if he's the center of it or what it is, but that's got to stop. It's just he's got to reinvent himself a little bit here. I think if he did that, he'd be fine. Just right now, it's hard to take him serious.
But he just reinvented himself.
I know.
Hasn't even been a year yet.
I know, and that's the sad part. I love the Sheamus that came in at first. I love the heel that he was when he came in, under the tutelage, and just basically being Triple H's guy. And now he's just become such a, I hate to say the word joke, but he really has become a punchline of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, and Ambrose basically did that on SmackDown, dressing him down at the beginning of the show. Because it's supposed to be a tag between him and it's Ambrose and Neville against Owens and Sheamus, and they just have this opening segment with Ambrose, and then Sheamus comes in and does all this stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm just again waiting for Owens to show up because it's going to happen, and it suddenly becomes much more interesting when he appears. Well, and let's just go ahead and they just throw Stardust and Titus O'Neil out there again. This is going to be your new filler forever match that we're going to see. My God, how low have these guys fallen? I mean, I guess at least they're on TV. But
hats off to Stardust for the David Bowie inspired face paint.
Yes, and then he loses. So.
Well, I mean, that's the only good thing I had to say about the segment because nobody there cared. Live audience sure could have,
who's going to care about this? What did they made them? I mean, it was better when they had Titus interrupting Stardust's promos. I mean,
it's just a shame because I like both these guys, but I mean, let's be honest. What they've got going here is not special. It is filler, and that's bad. Everybody knows it's filler. That's the problem here, and I think that they've got to do these guys better favors and put them in other situations. They'll be fine against each other in the future, but right now this is just not the time.
No, it's not. And so we're going to move on, too, because we don't need to spend any more time on that than what it is. The one thing that stood out to me on this show, though, is the Divas. Becky Lynch cut a heck of a promo backstage. She also sat there and just came in and made sure that Charlotte didn't have a match with Brie Bella. Thank you, because nobody wanted to see that match anyway. And, she just beats the crap out of her and then goes backstage, and she's really passionate and fiery, and she's all about, like, I'm going to get you, Charlotte. I'm going to take your arm, too. And it's just, that's good. That's what you want to see. And she continued it on SmackDown. She had a good match with Brie where she looked, well, it wasn't good. It was really quick. She looked strong and made Brie tap out. I mean, that's what you want out of your Divas feud. It has some fire and interest to it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching this. When I got home Monday was this is a real shot in the arm that this feud needed. It's less Charlotte sided now. You get to see Becky do what Becky does best, and that's be fiery, be passionate, and just be into wrestling. Because I think that's what she's at her best.
Gary, I mean, did you like Flair coming in there and calling that dude a fat boy and telling everybody that Charlotte is not wrestling today?
I did, and it's not because I'm just just crazy about Ric Flair. I mean, it's great to see him be around every once in a while, but it is nice because it's kind of getting what you wanted to see out of Ric Flair. It's not him just standing there and talking about his baby girl. It's actually getting a chance to see Ric Flair for who Ric Flair is. So that's what's fun about it. It kind of took me back to WCW. It really did. That's what I loved about it. But besides that, I mean, this is a great showing for the Divas division here. I think this is definitely something that they needed because, as Paul alluded to, it was a shot in the arm. They needed this in general, and they needed to get something going here because they were running pretty flat for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes it feel like you should care about the Divas again, and the crowd was getting into it, and that's what you want out of it. There's been Becky chants already, so that shows you that they're going in the right direction with this, certainly. However, the Social Outcasts, they picked the wrong team to mess with here. Just, I don't know that you want to go around messing with the Wyatts, just, I think you're basically asking to get beat down, but I guess in the same way they're faces, which is weird, but okay. Like, did anybody get weirded out by that? That this is just, that's not what I was expecting, I guess.
I'm still waiting for. They haven't given me a reason to feel sympathy for these guys yet because, yeah, they're lower on the card, but they haven't done anything on screen that makes you really go, man, these guys really need a break. I mean, I guess letting the Wyatts murder them for a couple of weeks might do it, but.
So I asked this question in the group because on SmackDown they had them wrestle the Social Outcasts, wrestled Jack Swagger, Goldust, Sandow, and Zack Ryder. And I said, well, who's really the bigger Social Outcast group? Is it the Social Outcasts or the other four? Because you can pretty much interchange them and it'd be the same thing. Right?
I care about a lot of people on the other side as I do the Social Outcasts.
I mean, it's almost, well, you have the more accomplished Social Outcasts, and then you have the total jobber Social Outcasts, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
That's the deal, and it is a situation where you get the advanced. I guess just call it Social Outcast Advanced.
Yeah, they beat that other more accomplished Social Outcast. So, I wonder if we're just gonna redo it on Raw or something. But it just made me sad. Sandow deserves better, and he's just sitting there doing nothing.
Yep.
I mean, at least he's not with these rejects over here, but, I feel, because Heath Slater's so good, and Bo Dallas is actually getting to be funny, but it's so whatever. I mean, I guess at least they didn't put Tyler Breeze in that group or something. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Did you guys like the storyline with Brock throughout? Which it seemed like the whole storyline was, will Brock be in the Royal Rumble, the biggest slam dunk in all of wrestling? We already know what's going to happen here, but
Yeah.
I guess credit to them for trying to make intrigue in it, but I don't know. Does it seem like it's a wasted storyline to do for an entire show when you already know what's going to happen?
I don't know if I would say wasted. I would say trying to build up to the, hey, we know you guys think this is going to happen, but we're going to point some fingers this way to point you to where it's happening at. And that's the end of the show. So, I mean, I don't know, because, everybody and their mother knew Brock Lesnar's going to end up in this Royal Rumble. And, what better way to announce him than letting him come out and suplex, 4 or 5 people?
Yeah.
And, of course, the New Day were just, the perfect fodder for this. So.
Yeah. Not only your tag team champions or anything, I did like the New Day dancing to the No Chance in Hell music.
Magical.
That was not music that you dance to, certainly, but they made it work. Well, speaking of the New Day, they wrestled the Usos in a non-title match with Chris Jericho at ringside, since this is Jericho's thing now to have his feud with the New Day. I enjoyed this match. I liked it. It was these two teams can go at it. Xavier Woods doing his thing on the outside, and of course, Paul, the best moment, Jericho breaking the trombone. And Xavier Woods' reaction was classic. Just
the humanity. Just tears pouring down my face for poor Xavier Woods and his beautiful, world-changing trombone.
He was certainly basically doing everything but crying tears at the thought of that happening. It made me sad for him.
I mean, the world has lost a lot of treasures so far. Xavier Woods' trombone is just another casualty on that list. This is a crime.
Where does it rank, Gary, on the list of tragic items that have been lost?
Oh man, that is a great question. I mean, there have been many, but it's pretty high up there. I mean, it may be edging to the top 10, but not quite. I mean, it hasn't had enough life to be in that top echelon. But it's definitely a beautiful piece of art that has been lost. I mean, they all say, these things come in threes, so I have concerns.
The world will never be the same, Gary.
I know. I am very disappointed. Xavier Woods was on his knees crying. I was the same way. I mean, I was like, no, that's the best trombone in the world. Why? So.
cut down in the prime of its life, too. It just, it doesn't get sadder.
Oh. It doesn't. I listen to Jericho's podcast every week, and he kind of talked a little bit about this. And what I love about it, he says legitimately people that were musicians complained and were really, honestly, upset about the destruction of the trombone, and that's what's more funny to me than anything else.
Oh my god, that's great. That's where do you, so obviously we've got an Usos and New Day tag title match pretty much set for the Royal Rumble now after this win going on. What do you think? What do you think they're going to make Jericho the special referee or something? I mean,
Jericho's already in the Rumble.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just why? What is his point of having an involvement here at all? Then,
you got me.
He needs something to do. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, they've got to have Jericho somewhere. Jericho's very charismatic. The New Day and him, I'm sure, could have some chemistry, which they've already proven a little bit here with the trombone. We just got through talking about that. That became bigger than I think if anybody else would have done that. And I think you can expect Jericho to act on his feet. He could probably come up with things. He could probably work well with New Day. I think that's the biggest reason here. It doesn't have to have a storyline reason, I don't think, but I think that's really the behind-the-scenes reason.
I mean, you watch out for those unicorn horns, though. Those things could be next on the Jericho breaking stuff.
If Jericho has a soul, he won't touch those horns.
How bad does Jericho? I wonder if Jericho, like, does he even care anymore with that outfit that he had on, though? Like, I don't know what that was. That he was.
He's a rock star. That's exactly what he's encompassing his reality as he's a rock star and he's a wrestler.
Rock star with just like a tie randomly on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the scarf's all about.
He's a rock star that means business, Sean.
Whatever works for Jericho, I guess.
Oh man!
I mean, I guess there could have been worse things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have been wearing some of the crazy stuff they wear in the NBA nowadays.
That's true. That's true. I'm waiting for somebody to come out with that, and maybe they'll have Russell Westbrook show up and he'll come on with something like that.
That'll be a magical day.
He'll probably think it's legit and start getting all pissed off. So Alberto Del Rio and Kalisto, they had a nice little. Kalisto had a very paint by the numbers promo. I thought they had to shoehorn in Eddie Guerrero there because they just have to. He's Latino, so you have to. Alberto Del Rio, though, I thought had his best promo since he came back, especially with his what I do with mosquitoes, I squash them, and the whole thing with John Cena, and even though the crowd didn't seem to really care too much about it, but I don't know, he showed some passion there finally that you've been wanting to see, and he kind of continued that on SmackDown too. But this match really good, and Kalisto wins the championship. This also happened to happen at halftime of the college football national championship game to try to get people to, I guess, keep watching Raw. I don't know. But what do you guys think?
I was a big fan of this match. It wasn't crazy over the top amazing, but it was still, I think, much above par for the course that you would expect for a television match. I think these guys worked pretty well together. There's a couple of spots here that you could pick at, like Kalisto getting that run off the ropes and Del Rio sort of taking forever to take the bump. But, you win some, lose some, and certainly the win here is Kalisto with the belt.
Yeah, and to me personally, this is a good match to do just what they want to do, is to fill that spot at halftime to get people interested in watching the show. And for a guy like Kalisto to win against a guy that's been established like Alberto Del Rio, that gets the casual fans who are flipping channels during halftime to be interested, to maybe start questioning, hey, maybe I should start watching this product again. Things like that. That's what they want. That's why they do these kind of matches. That's why I think the title change happened right there. Which is great. It's fine and dandy, and I'm okay with it. I like Kalisto. I mean, I think if you're going to have someone that's going to be Little Rey Mysterio, why not Kalisto? And I'm completely happy with that.
Talented enough ring-wise.
Yeah.
And Ray wasn't this magical talker either, so it's not,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, for the kids like masked men and like to wear masks, so, I mean, it's not anything totally different. I would say that considering what happened, technically, kayfabe-wise, 3 days later, legitimate-wise, 1 day later, where Kalisto loses the championship again, after he won it with a roll-up, and then he loses it in a, Del Rio basically goes after his arm the entire time. Very old school Del Rio here. Just total arm work. And then Barrett comes down and basically makes it to where he keeps distracting Kalisto to the point where he taps out to the armbar after getting out of it one time. Obviously, lots of heel stuff to get people's sympathy for Kalisto after he just kind of wins out of nowhere. Do you think that this really helps Kalisto, having the back-to-back like this, or does it hurt him? And does it hurt the title?
I'm personally not a fan of the switch on SmackDown, and I could completely understand you wanting to get sympathy and whatnot for him. I certainly feel like there's a better way to tell this story of Kalisto overcoming the odds, especially in light of him seemingly winning the championship out of nowhere. But I think this sets him up to possibly win it back again at the Royal Rumble on a bigger stage with more people hopefully watching. So maybe that's where they're going with this.
Yeah, I'm most of the times along with you on that, Paul. I don't like the quick switches. I don't like those kind of things. But to me, this is a situation where they have to do something impactful to get the audience. And this is a mission that they're on. I just talked about it when we were talking about the halftime moment that they had on Monday Night Raw. Now you're talking about SmackDown on the USA Network. You got to get people watching. You got to get people interested and really drawn in. And for a title switch on SmackDown to happen with Del Rio regaining it, it means that people are going to feel like, hey, maybe if we actually tune into this thing, we're going to get to see more title defenses and things that are special happening. So I think that's what part of this was. Otherwise, I'm agreeing. I really don't care for it, but I get where they're going.
Yeah, I really hope that after they had the triple main event on SmackDown with a very good Dudleys against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan match, but they basically destroyed the Dudleys at the end, putting them through a table. They put Bubba through a table while they're standing on the announce table and they do the double choke slam. I really hope that's it. Like, we don't need to keep seeing these matches. The Dudleys have been beat to death. Seriously. Just end it already. I mean, I know they're going to be lacking some matches, but I really just don't want to see this happen again at the Royal Rumble or something. You guys think that's possible?
Oh, of course it's possible. Of course it's possible, Sean. You don't want a rematch? Take part 657.
Shit. Yep. That's so how about this? The entire show is about this one versus all thing. And then we get to the one versus all match, and it's basically the most boring Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns match. Yes, and people just waiting for Brock to show up. Like, what is the point of having a one versus all match if it's just one guy the entire time? Like,
I didn't get that either, Sean. I could not figure it out because I thought this was going to be more of a chance for people just to really take out Roman Reigns, and this is going to be their opportunity to overwhelm him.
Just freaking have Reigns bust through people, and then Brock comes out, and you have a stare down. Like, I don't see why. Just whatever.
See, clearly, Sean, they know that you're it's a long show. It's 3 hours. They know you're tired. You've been through a long day at work, and they want to help you go to sleep. And that's clearly what they wanted to do.
This is your nightcap.
And I can't believe I'm saying that. It's Kevin Owens. And
this is good guy WWE at its best. Just wanting to help you find your way to sleepy bye.
Oh, God.
I wish that when Brock would have walked in, you'd hear the dun dun dun, the lullaby song. Dun, dun, dun.
Or they play the Mr. Sandman song.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd been beautiful. But no, I mean, I'm right there with you, Sean. I did not like that. I'm a fan of Kevin Owens. I enjoy Kevin Owens, but at the same point, I the whole time watching it, I was like, okay, when are we going to get more people? When are the other people going to get involved?
I don't see that. Like, I know Larry says that it's better that Reigns didn't go through people, but come on. Do you really think that the fans think that half those people are going to win the Royal Rumble? No. Like, the fans are not that stupid to think that, Heath Slater's going to win the Royal Rumble. It's just not happening. That's what after we do this rating, that's what we're going to talk about here is who really is contending to be the Royal Rumble winner. And there's probably about 4 people. And that's being nice. And it's that's what's sad about what's happening here with this situation with this roster the way it is. It's just a bunch of dudes and 3 people, and it's whatever. But let's get to rating this show. Where would you settle on the number scale?
Oh boy, 5.5, maybe pushing a 6. Good opening match with Sheamus and Dean. I enjoyed Del Rio and Kalisto very much. The New Day were fun during the 6-man. Their segment with Jericho wasn't all that intriguing for me on the highlight reel, but everything else I could just sort of take or leave. I thought Reigns was okay, other than him kind of looking meh at the end, but.
I don't know if I'm being too hard on the show or not. I don't know. 5 just feels much better to me right now. I mean, they had some good points in it, but for the most part, I was just not overly thrilled with the entire show overall. I did not walk away happy about it. I didn't walk away thinking about it, honestly. And that's not good. I mean, really, you want people to be, kind of mulling over their mind. This happened. I just didn't have much to say. In fact, I was talking to someone, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, about Raw, and I was having a fight and jog my memory of what really happened because nothing really great happened, in my opinion. So, good matches here and there, but that's about it, so.
Yeah, and I'm going to say a 6. And I liked most of this show, I didn't care for Dean Sheamus that much till Owens came out. And, the main event was it was I'm just waiting for Brock to show up. And that's what the crowd was doing. And, yeah, that's what it felt like, honestly. So, yeah, right. Gary, I guess we're just getting this segment.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that is Monday Night Raw, everybody. We are going to move on and talk some NXT. We have the NXT Awards.
We're going to talk this segment, Gary. About the Royal Rumble stuff really quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I blanked. Sean wanted to get into a few Royal Rumble things. I know it's a little early, but we'll go ahead and just kind of throw a few things out here. And just to kind of get an idea of where we feel like it's going. Hey, we may even touch on it next week to kind of give you a better idea on where we think it's going. But right now, let's consider this. Who do we feel like is the dark horse to win the Royal Rumble?
Is there a dark horse at all?
That's a tough. I think we're only up to 14 announced so far. Which Big Show, Curtis Axel, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, Ryback, Dolph Ziggler, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Stardust, Mark Henry, Sheamus.
Yeah, after the announcement of a last man standing match for the IC title on SmackDown, I don't know that Owens or Ambrose may even be in the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they are, then you're totally devaluing what that last man standing stipulation is. But I would have said Owens would have been possible. But other than that, I really think it just comes down to 3 people. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Triple H is your dark horse.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, too. I think that besides those 3, the rest of everybody is just kind of there. You're going to have a lot of surprise people involved. Of course,
that's what they've been talking about, is there probably going to be a bigger amount of surprises on this show than there has been in quite a while.
Can I go ahead and predict one, even though it's probably not going to happen?
What?
I'm going to say Bill Goldberg.
That would be really weird considering, but why the hell not? I guess.
We just got through talking about earlier about them needing names, people to show up, and people that they could get, in there to draw more seats, and people interested in the product. So I don't know. I just thought, that's one name that they could put in there and possibly do that.
I think WWE screws himself if they try to get too cute and don't have AJ show up. He is never going to get a bigger reaction other than being in Orlando. And he shows up. I mean, you're in front of the TNA home base. I mean, like...
Oh, man.
What if WWE just pulls the panic switch and starts just pressing a whole bunch of stuff, and suddenly AJ Styles walks out of the WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Like,
that
is the world we could live in, gentlemen.
Oh, my God. Wow.
I just don't... It didn't work out that great in New Japan. That's just... I don't see it working out that great either here.
If he shows up, though, he's got to have a valet, in my personal opinion, and that valet has to be Claire Lynch.
Oh, no.
Of course.
Oh, sorry. I had to put that out there. But, I mean... no, I mean, was there anything else, Sean? I know there was a few things you wanted to kind of discuss.
No, it's just... I hope that they have more surprises because, like, if it's just this roster, that Royal Rumble is going to feel very boring at times. Like, do you think Undertaker might show up since it's for the title? I mean, we haven't seen him in a while.
I think the fun part about this Rumble isn't necessarily the result, because I still very much think it's going to be Reigns walking out, winning the Rumble for sure. The fun part is going to be all the crazy screwballs they throw at you. So could the Undertaker come in? I absolutely believe the Undertaker could come in, and I wouldn't rule it out even if reports are saying Undertaker isn't even in the city. I would say that he has a chance to be in that Rumble just because it's so open.
I wouldn't be surprised if The Rock shows up either.
Like, I mean, they got to do something.
I mean, Gary, like, see this. I think your point is to get Roman Reigns to win the title at WrestleMania that he did not get to do last year. So I think you have Triple H is going to screw him out of winning. You have Brock win, and you maybe do. Supposedly the idea is Triple H and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't even have Reigns win the title. Maybe you have Brock. I don't even know who Brock could really face at this point. But like, it's either you do Brock and Reigns or you do Triple H and Reigns. It's like that's what's sad. Is there's no one else to. When your main event scene is still involving Triple H in 2016.
Yeah.
The world we've come to.
Wow. To me, I see where you're coming from on that, and I think that Roman Reigns and Triple H is a fine match at WrestleMania. But, why would they not allow him to do the title picture again? That's the other question, like you were talking about, Sean, because to me, that's the perfect place if he's going to lose the title to regain it and get over like he was supposed to last year. I don't know. It's a good question. And a lot of thought has to come into it when it comes to who will be surprises, who's going to stick around after this Royal Rumble. That's also going to matter.
Kevin Owens did put it out there that he has a problem with Brock. So,
Yeah.
What if?
And there's going to be
he certainly would be the heel that you could hate, and you can cheer Brock. I mean,
that is true. You're exactly right on that. So,
I don't know what you think, Paul.
Like I said, I think it's Reigns walking out with the belt somehow, some way. I don't see a great reason to put it back on Brock, other than just to say that, hey, the roster is that depleted, and he's the only guy they have faith in, and they want to do a rematch for some god-awful reason.
That match was pretty good though.
I agree. The match was good. I don't know if I want to see it again 1 year later.
I agree with you, especially being in the in the stadium.
Right. So if it's Brock winning, I really hope it's somebody else taking the challenge, and you maybe wait to have Reigns revisit the title till SummerSlam or something like that. But, that's it's either you go the way you said, Sean, or you just let Reigns walk out and you find somebody that's going to step up. And if it's Kevin Owens and Reigns, then that's what it is. If it's somebody else, maybe you have Dean drop the Intercontinental title somewhere in between there, and we get Dean and Reigns in the main event. Like, figure something out that's different. I don't know if I want to see Brock and Roman Reigns again.
It's just the thing with Dean and Reigns is that deserves like a huge build, like not just a 2-month thing. That deserves like a 6-month, like just bruise and like you finally have like one of them turn on each other and stuff like that. Like you can't do that in 2 months. This is gonna feel like so wrong. I don't know. I just still think that I'd love to see like Brock against Owens, and then you get I guess you do your Triple H. Like Triple H and Reigns is kind of in building, so I don't mind that so much. Like they've obviously given you a storyline purpose for it, and we know Triple H brings it at WrestleMania. Especially when he doesn't have to have shenanigans in there like he did with Sting last year. So
yeah, but for the championship as your main event, no.
No, that's what I was saying. You can have Triple H screws Reigns, and you have Brock and Owens be your title match, and you have Reigns and Triple H just not for the title. I don't think Rollins and Triple H is going to be for the title.
We'll see. Obviously, I don't know.
We shall
Yeah,
see.
that's
I guess.
right.
Gary, do you not have a preference, Gary?
Of seeing Rock and
what do you
Triple H?
want to see as you're going to this show too? What would you want to fantasy book for a second?
Fantasy book for a second. Okay, so I'm not really thrilled about seeing Lesnar Reigns again. I don't know. I just don't feel it. I'd rather I just rather the Triple H match with Reigns. Brock Lesnar. I don't know the opponent really, to be honest with you. I just want it to be someone different. I just really, really do. I don't know anybody else on this roster that I'm thrilled about. I mean, I would love to see, Lesnar face a guy like Cesaro or something like that, but that's not happening. Daniel Bryan, love to see that. That's not happening. So I think the guy.
You think AJ maybe against Brock?
That's a guy that I would be thrilled to watch. Anybody else in that mindset, yes, I'd be thrilled. But I just think it's a name that we don't have right now, and AJ could be one of them.
Oh, we forgot. Is Daniel Bryan showing up in this Royal Rumble?
I'm going to say no.
Never say never, Sean. That is where I'm at with this Royal Rumble.
Like, we're going to get all hyped for people coming in, and, I just really hope it's not disappointing.
It's just 5 mystery entrants worth of jobbers and AJ Styles.
Yeah.
That.
Exactly.
No, man. There's a lot to look forward to, guys, and I'm excited about the Royal Rumble, and I know you guys are too, because we've been talking about this for quite a while now. But we know we'll have to wait and get more answers as these weeks go by. We got a couple weeks left, and I think by next week when we're doing the show again, we're going to have more answers, and we'll probably have better predictions when it comes to the Royal Rumble. So. But let's move on, guys. It is time for us to get on out of here and talk some NXT. So why don't we go ahead and jump in there, and we'll head to Full Sail and do that next.
WWE Developmental NXT.
All right. Well, NXT. Oh man, I forgot. Brandon told me he wanted to come on for Raw, but it's pretty late as it is. I'm announcing right now we are not doing the football show after this show, so do not expect the football show later this morning because I'm about to fall asleep. And plus Randy's sick, so...
Yeah, and all we would be talking about later on would be head coaching moves, and we can do that next
we can do
Monday.
that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And be done really fast. So anyway, NXT, the first NXT of 2016, happening 13 days into 2016. William Regal coming out, telling us all about to expect big things. And for 2016, that there's going to be a battle royal to determine the number one contender for Bayley's women's title. And then Sami Zayn comes out. He's not allowed to speak for a long time because he can't get over the Olays. And, then Samoa Joe pretty much comes out. Baron Corbin comes out. And you can kind of imagine what's going to wind up happening here. But I quite enjoyed this opening segment. Samoa Joe was very good here. I even thought Baron Corbin was good. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, everybody here, short Finn and Apollo, is your top of the card. And really, outside of Baron, who has, I think, more than held it his own with these guys, admittedly, but doesn't really drive a lot of the interest. Everybody else in that talk of a conversation of guys is somebody you could put a match around and build towards a takeover, and I think everybody would be okay with it. So smart move here. You're placing all your challengers in a row, and we're getting ready to start cooking.
Yeah, even though we know where this is headed, ultimately, I still like seeing the ride to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole world can see this is going to be Sami Zayn and Finn Balor at Dallas, but, we'll see how it goes. They got to get through this triple threat match first. Gary, what did you like out of this? I mean,
I love the fact that Baron Corbin's a part of it. I know that people would say, well, duh, but I mean, on the other hand, they legitimately could have put Baron Corbin on the back burner a little bit here and said, well, he's still developing. I love the fact that he's going to be involved. It doesn't, mean I'm predicting him to win because I think you're right. Sami Zayn, Finn Balor just makes all the sense in the world. But I'm just thrilled for Baron Corbin. And I'm also, happy to see Joe part of this. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a blast to watch, and I think it's going to at least give us a little bit more perspective on where Sami Zayn is after his injury.
Well, Rich Brennan's been relegated to backstage interviewer. Lord, poor guy. I don't, what happened here? I thought he was doing just fine on NXT.
Oh,
but
that's a good question.
You got to bring Tom Phillips down, and I guess you got to have Michael Cole Jr. doing NXT instead. Whatever. Does anybody else get that vibe? That's what I feel like when I listen to Tom Phillips.
I mean, he had to change his announcing style to fit the main roster, and then they go with a guy who completely is different from what they built him for on the main roster. So I would be pissed because now you're getting mixed signals.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Did you see that sign of I'm really happy to be back here in NXT?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Stephanie slapping the crap out of me on Raw anymore. All right. We'll talk about the NXT awards at the end, but man, Tommaso Ciampa, maybe he should go to New Japan or something. He was fight for that Never title. He was certainly going at it with Danny Burch, giving him some stiff shots here. I liked his, Tom Phillips certainly really liked his armbar thing. How did you like the little reverse armbar looking thing as a finisher?
It certainly fits Ciampa, fits I think what they're trying to build him into, which is sort of this sort of a more straight submission guy based on his crazy guy antics from the indie scene. So, yeah, fan all the way around. Nice little jobber match here to get him back on the right track towards championship contention.
He's working house shows now, so it seems like if he's not signed, I mean
he's got a deal in place for sure.
Yeah.
I love this guy. Everybody knows that I love this guy. I think the world of Ciampa. I did like the armbar finisher the way he did it. That's really, really cool. And, as I watch this guy, I think to myself, man, if Cesaro ever needs a tag team partner, I think those two guys will work amazing together. I would love to see them as a tag
poor
team.
Tyson Kidd. You're just throwing him,
Tyson Kidd will land on his feet. He's Canadian.
That was the best thing he had going for him. Gary, you're just going to, toss that away? Just be like, screw you, Tyson Kidd. I'm
sure he can find a heart somewhere to tag with. I kid. No, I mean, you're right. I love Tyson Kidd, too. And it's so sad that, I kind of placed him out of my mind because he's been gone so long. But I'm just, once again, fantasy booking here. And I'm already putting Cesaro and Ciampa together because I love both those guys. And I think that they complement each other to an extent.
Well, I mean, we do get a more awesome, serious promos from Enzo and Cass. Because they're still in this with Dash and Dawson. They're soft for hiding behind Carmella, and Cass in particular, I thought, was really good here in this being serious role. What do you guys think here?
Yeah, thought it was fine. We're continuing to build on the little foundation that this feud's been built on. That ultimately is going to end with Cass and Enzo getting these belts from Dash and Dawson. But like we said earlier, it's all about the ride.
Agree there, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, we've talked about the Ascension plenty of times, and it just, the fact that they've come back down here and it against Dash and Dawson, I didn't know what to think at first when I'm watching this match because I'm thinking, wow, these guys are really, taking it to them. The Ascension's getting their due, and I thought that was wise. I thought it was smart, but I just love the fact that Dash and Dawson get the win. They're able to take out the Ascension and to prove their point, and so. Overall, I think this was solid, and I mean, it's great. They had talked about this for a while now, and it finally happens.
Yeah, it did. And what we did see here is this almost felt like a little Divas Royal Rumble going on here. They allowed every single diva, even the ones that are not contracted, to have a little bit of a promo to say, "Hey, I'm excited. I'm going to win the title, the championship, or whatever." I mean, we got to see Cameron. We got to see a few newbies and Liv Morgan. What do you guys think overall of this? Even Asuka got to say, "I'm going to be number one contender." So,
yeah. There's a lot of girls in this division. I really am looking forward to see break out. Chiefly Billie Kay being among them, who I think probably had one of the better little short promos here, saying she's going to bring the division to its knees. So, 10 out of 10.
What do you think of a Venus flytrap for a nickname there, Gary, on Peyton Royce? I mean, seemed a bit out of nowhere. Just I'm the Venus flytrap of NXT. Gary must have.
No, I'm sorry. I'm here. I've been talking with my mute on. I apologize. Wild night over here. Lots of paranormal activity. So anyway, and I'm not kidding. My wife came in here and asked me a question about paranormal activity actually happening.
Oh.
No. I did not go in the room, and she says that I did. So weird. But anyway, so let's talk about the fact that is so weird about the Venus flytrap, whatever the heck that. I don't understand it. Is it an indie throwback or something, or is this just a silly gimmick? I don't get it.
I don't recall her being called the Venus flytrap on the indie circuit, but it certainly does create a mental picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, no, I just thought it so weird. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they let them, like, even the ones that are not contracted, they're just there, like Diana Peruzzo, and who she did the triple threat at one point. She did ROH and TNA and NXT all in like the same week, I think. So another person that's just all done that. But we'll get to that actual match. This was the main event in a second. But so Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson have a match with the Ascension, who are, Tom Phillips makes it plain that they are the gatekeepers. And, Dash and Dawson win. I mean, what do you guys think? You like the Ascension coming back for things like this?
I'm fine if they just want to keep the Ascension down here in NXT because the crowd cares about them so much more, which in turn makes you watching the product care about them so much more. Dash and Dawson are great here. I'm fine with the Ascension being the gatekeepers. They're still the longest running tag team champs, so easy role for them to slide into whenever they need it.
Yeah, it's better than them just standing there and getting fake Superman punch by Roman Reigns.
Oh, so terrible.
And one of them only one of them got hit, but the other one falls off too. Like, how does that happen?
That's the Sandow gimmick going. They're using that gimmick the Sandow had. Did you like the Shake, Rattle, and Roll by Brian?
Yeah, and the
Connor?
fans really loved that. He was going for it on that one.
I loved it.
Speaking of musical acts, the Drifter, Elias Sampson. Thank you for the segue, Gary. Going on with Corey Hollis, and he certainly has that mysterious vibe about him or whatever, but I don't know. It's just.
Can I just say I personally am not a fan. I mean, I'm kind of curious. Paul may totally disagree with me, but this is kind of like what we saw not long ago. Remember the cyber gimmick? How do you really do that? It's not like WWE or NXT are going town to town and following this guy and watching him go into gas stations and truck stops and meeting people. That's not part of this. He just comes and he wrestles, and I don't care enough about the songs. I'm not a fan.
He's not an overly intriguing character for me. Like, he just comes and goes. Which, if you turn that into something else, then fine. But right now, where he's just squashing people, it's very, very flat, very boring presentation.
I'm also half expecting him to do a Jeff Jarrett and hit somebody with the guitar. So,
see, I'd be fine with that if that was his whole gimmick. Like, he's a drifter, he'll come in during a match, randomly smash a guitar over somebody's head, walk out. That's a drifter, man.
Gary, does that work for you?
I'm down with that. Anytime this guitar gets smashed over someone's head, and come on. Jarrett lived on that, slap nuts. But no.
That was the name of the guitar.
I know. But, I do think that would be way better. I think Paul's onto something there. Just this whole, I don't know, drifters, half emo, whatever the heck this guy is. I know he has feelings and all, but I don't care about them. I care more about his actions, and I don't think he gives me enough.
All right, so we get to this Battle Royal. It's pretty Battle Royal-y for a very large portion. I don't know what's going on with Gary. His microphone is...
It's here.
Giving me all kinds of air. But yeah.
Telling you, paranormal, man.
No wonder they're making that Hall of Fame start at 6:30, Gary. Chris was telling me that last year's was like 5 hours. Well, Probably an hour of that with Mr. T last year, but I think they said somebody, was it Jericho or somebody, finally told Mr. T to shut up, and he got off the stage.
Wow.
Because he wouldn't stop talking about his mama, you know. So just...
Hey man, he loved his mom.
Yeah.
You can love your mama all you want to, but there's a time.
They need to hire that guy at the Apollo to come over there and join the Hall of Fame and get the cane out and just yank him off stage, you know?
So, anyway, this Battle Royal. We have two... Oh, I forgot to note that earlier they had medical people tell Nia Jax she wasn't cleared. And, she didn't go crazy, but she was a bit upset, And Eva Marie did the whole yes thing in the background. And they also played up this thing with Asuka when Eva Marie did her entrance and then Asuka did hers right behind her and then pushed her out of the way. And I almost thought they were going to do the whole, knock Asuka off the corner and make her be eliminated first. And thankfully it didn't. But, so you kind of knew what this was building to, sort of. This is also a bit weird because it's some of these women might have problems lifting some of the other women, so it's they were barely getting them to the top rope to try to do that thing where you're trying to make it look like you're trying to push them over, and it wasn't very convincing. You had Liv Morgan botch a powerbomb on Cameron that was very ugly. Then they had to redo the spot again. And who was it that they had to do the Rana out of it? Was it who was that? Shoot.
I'm trying to think offhand who it was.
Was it Alexa?
Yeah, no, Alexa was one of the first ones eliminated, I think. Well, whatever. I'll think about it later. But either way, there was one botch in the match, and they had two. Eva Marie gets knocked down really fast by a Asuka heel kick, and then all of a sudden, Carmella, just you don't see her again, and it comes down to Asuka, Eva Marie. Well, Eva Marie comes back in the ring, and then Asuka eliminates both Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and then Eva Marie comes from behind, eliminates Asuka, and then Carmella comes from out of nowhere and eliminates Eva, and then Carmella wins, and so you're getting the Baymella title match here, but this was just a comedy of errors Battle Royal going on.
Comedy of errors that I think overall was still fairly fun. The crowd, of course, still hates Eva Marie, so just the insane amount of hate she gets whenever she tosses Asuka out, only for Carmella to come in very quickly to put a lid on that. And when the pop she gets is just astounding.
Yeah, Bayley did say that she might hug whoever won, so definitely she was going to hug Carmella. Did you like did you guys like who they chose here?
I think it works. And only because of Breaking Ground, we've got a chance to see the relationship between Carmella and Bayley on that. But if you're not watching Breaking Ground and you're just watching it, it's definitely a surprise if you don't know anything about the relationship. So I don't have a problem with it, especially with a lot of the other talent that they had in the ring had just as good of an option, or were as good of an option. Asuka's was the one I was really kind of thinking was going to win here, though. I was kind of surprised by her being the one out.
It's going to be Asuka and Bayley at Dallas.
Think so?
Yeah. I think this match, though, Carmella and Bayley, I think is going to be a great way to elevate Carmella up the ladder some. Hopefully, really show what she can do if she has anything more to show us. Because with Bayley, it's certainly going to be the best time for her to really, really get a great opportunity to be like, hey, this is what I'm about, and hopefully elevate
That brings me to my next question, though. Is this a little bit of a flag that goes in the air saying Bayley may be moving on?
They did have her answer a question like that. If she was worried about going to the main roster, and she said no because she's wanted to be there since she was 11. But she's kind of like Finn, where she's just really proud of being in NXT right now, and you know.
Yeah, I just think that it's kind of intriguing that her best friend gets that push and kind of does what Paul's saying is has the opportunity to move up to another level. And I'm sure Bayley wants to be a part of that. And I thought that might be a kind of a red flag here that, hey, Bayley may not be long for NXT.
I still think Bayley's going to be one of the ones that shows up at Raw after WrestleMania.
I mean, if there was ever the time, that would be it.
I just think going another whole year with Bayley, you just need to let her go on the main roster and you really see what you got with everybody else. Because Bayley's the last of the Mohicans. Like, you know, just after that, you got everybody that's kind of come in. You have some that have been there, but it's most of everybody's kind of on the same level after Bayley's out, you know. Aside from, I guess, Asuka. But still, from a perspective, she hadn't been there very long, you know. So, but, yeah, that was your NXT. It wasn't anything, like, overly special, but you had some good things happen on it. If, for some reason, you haven't watched NXT yet, or you just skip when they do anything that involves not in-ring action, they did reveal the awards. Finn Balor won overall competitor and male wrestler of the year, basically. And Bayley won female wrestler of the year. Sasha Banks and Bayley won match of the year. Which I like the fact that they let them have little promos there for each award. Each award was actually, there was a physical award there, which is also very cool to see. It's like a bell. That's in gold. Enzo and Cass won Tag Team of the Year, and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn won the event, the Takeover of the Year. How did you like the way they did this, and do you see them expanding it next year, maybe?
I don't know about expanding it. I think you really did what you came to accomplish your goals with here. Fan vote, little awards here to all the fan favorites. Fun little segment. I don't know if you really need to blow it up into something like the Slammies.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like Slammies. I do wish, though, that they would have had either maybe a post-show awards, not ceremony, but award show, like 30 minutes, and just kind of did a little bit more in depth, kind of talked about each, why they, nominated each, and then, of course, gave the victor their award, and then that was where you showed. You could show these same video clips. You don't have to have it live. You don't have to do anything like that. Not an award show. I just wish they kind of would have given it a little bit more of a time, kind of let people really kind of get in depth with. Maybe you get behind the scenes of that match between Sasha and Bayley. Maybe you get more in depth with what Finn was doing this past year and things like that. I think it kind of would have been a little bit of a cool addition to this. But the way they did it this year, no problem. I'm not upset. I think it worked out just great.
Yeah, well, that's NXT.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to move on and talk some Ring of Honor next. And don't forget, we do have to talk some TNA Impact, and we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week. So don't forget about that. You need to stick around for that. But now it's time for us to talk Ring of Honor. All right, Paul.
All right. So we opened this week's episode of Ring of Honor TV with Rapagni Bias, Rocky Romero, and Trip Beretta taking on the All Night Express, Kenny King, Red Titus. Fun little back and forth tag match. Gets about 8-10 minutes, something like that. Fun double teams all the way through. All Night Express end up getting the win, sort of sneakily. They end up knocking. words. They end up knocking Romero down. Titus, however, wasn't legal. Kenny sneaks in, rolls up Beretta to get the surprise win. All Night Express gets the win here. Rapagna Vice continues to look strong. Win-win for everybody here.
Yeah, the key word is fun. And you're exactly right, Paul, on that. And, this is just a fun way to open the show. I think it worked out. The All Night Express, to me, is, one of my favorite tags in the Ring of Honor. And I don't know. It's just something about him. Kenny King, to me, I just love him in this role. Wasn't doing anything in Impact, but here he is in Ring of Honor and, making me happy. I love his reaction to winning, too. I'm sorry, but I just love it. But, overall, this is not bad. Just, a fun way to start the show.
Absolutely. And it gets even better after that because we have the Kingdom out next. Parading out is Adam Cole, Bebe with the rest of them. Taven's on crutches. You have Bennett and Maria sort of looking sort of dour. And Cole says that he was the only one that really succeeded at Final Battle because he won. And then, of course, Bennett and Taven lost the match in the championships. And he's about to explain how they can go about winning the championships back when Red Dragon comes out and says that they are tag team wrestling in ROH, blah, 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 and wants to challenge the Kingdom. Nigel comes out and says, hey, the card's booked up, but I can book you guys for next week. And this brings out the Young Bucks, who say they want a chance to show that they're the ones who reinvented tag team wrestling. So now we have these three teams in a street fight next week. I'm assuming it's going to be your main event as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am too. And this wasn't bad. I mean, anytime Adam Cole's involved, and of course on the mic, it's a treat. So I enjoyed this whole segment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of storyline progression this episode, which I really like, and we see more of that in our next match / segment here. War Machine comes out to take on the House of Truth, which is Joey Diesel and Donovan Dijak with Truth. Both teams get to really show off what they got. Mostly Donovan Dijak on the House of Truth team, who ends up getting a nice little run before War Machine finally puts him down. And then we cut to commercial break after that, and we come back to the ring with Truth, and Truth is in the ring pretty much dressing down Dijak, saying that he's the weak link of the group, and ends up tossing him out. Dijak, however, isn't going to go down quietly. Truth tries to slap him. It doesn't end well for Truth and Diesel, who just get, Dijak destroys. Nana comes out. He's very pleased, having given Dijak an envelope. Whatever is inside the envelope, we still don't know yet, but there's a lot of movement going on here, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that too. And I look at the match that they had, and that's the second thought, honestly. Mm-hmm. Nothing there that you just really need to get in depth with, but this storyline and the fact that Dijak is now on his own, he's going to do his own thing, and the intrigue of Prince Nana, is he going to open the envelope? And, there's so many thought processes on what is in that envelope. I'm really hoping it's Jack in the Box coupon, but you never know. Hey, those tacos are delicious. But anyway.
I must be like one of the only people in the world that don't like those Jack in the Box tacos.
Really? Maybe Florida doesn't know how to make tacos I don't know.
Well, we don't have Jack in the Box here.
Oh, see, that's why. Oh, but anyway, no, you just never liked them in Texas either.
No,
that's interesting. Wow. Sometimes you just, but I think overall though, you're what Paul's getting at here is that this show really is progressing, and it's giving you more storylines and more of what's going to happen in the future than it is focusing on the matches, and that's what this was. But at the same point, I loved it. I loved the interaction between Truth and Dijak, and I just love that we are intrigued in what Prince Nana can do with this guy.
Yeah, I agree. And for all the storyline building that we've gotten in this show, we end it with a four-way that really makes absolutely no sense as Dalton Castle takes on Moose, Matt Sydal, and Jay Briscoe in a four-way. We get a lot of back and forth. It's a bit of a messy rush towards the end that finally ends when Dalton Castle hits Bangarang on Matt Sydal. I think it was mostly just sort of a display for Dalton Castle, to be honest. But it's not a bad way to end your show, I think.
Yeah, and can I be honest? The only reason I care is because Dalton Castle won.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I think it's the only reason the live attendants cared as well.
it's just amazing to see how over that guy is. And he's won me over too. I mean, I talk about Dalton Castle probably as much as I talk about anybody else in wrestling, and that's a really positive thing. It really is, and he's a guy that sticks with you, and I think that he's got a lot going for him, and it's definitely proven. So, I mean, once again, match doesn't really matter. Just what happens after, and what happens after is we got Dalton Castle with a win.
Absolutely. That's your Ring of Honor. A really good episode I'd recommend you go watch. There's a lot of storyline progression, so if you're into anything ROH is doing right now, it's a good way to see what's happening.
Definitely. And if you kind of want to just jump in feet first and kind of get an idea, at least you'll kind of start somewhere here. This is a good way to get you pointed in a direction where each of these guys are going, like Paul's saying here. So, good stuff, guys. Let's go ahead and move on.
It does make me sad that apparently we were supposed to get Nakamura versus Dalton Castle at the anniversary show, and now we're not.
Oh, yeah, that just...
Imagine the greatness of that right there.
I don't know if the world could have handled the magnitude of how great that would have been.
Especially if Adam Cole got involved. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk some TNA Impact. We'll be right back with that.
All right.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Oh yeah, it cuts off before it gets to the even more boring same part over and over. Anyway, so we get to TNA, which brings you more stuff. EC3 comes out, which I guess we can never argue that's the bad thing, because he's actually entertaining. He comes out here and he does his whole thing about how I am double time, two-time champion that has not been pin submitted and whatever. Then Jeff Hardy eventually comes out here, because we can't have a TNA show without Jeff Hardy. And he brought back the horrid face paint, and if it wasn't for that, he smears paint on his face some more. Jeff Hardy, sir, just I'm not whatever. EC3 even talks to Bob Ryder through the camera at one point when Shinron, who's from Chikara apparently, came out and he had no music at first, so EC3's like, hey, we gotta give him some music. And then he starts singing some like random BS about his attire and all this stuff, and it's like, wow. It's just only EC3 can make this work. So we have a Jeff Hardy versus Shinron match, which, whatever. I don't know. I mean, it was okay, I guess. I don't know, Paul.
You're not going to get a great picture of Shinron in under 2 minutes where he's pretty much being squashed. To a returning Jeff Hardy that TNA has made no promise, no promotion, no anything of. It's just, here's Jeff Hardy and a guy. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Shinron is a tremendous talent. He's very, very agile. The man can do a 540 from the middle rope, which is just endlessly impressive.
Wow.
The dude's got serious talent, and hopefully is one of those guys that TNA has their sights set on for the X Division, because he's certainly somebody that will make you want to watch what's going on your TV screen.
Gary?
Yeah, this whole thing led to me just thinking, Jeff, please, just your leg's better. Uh, turn in your papers and go. Because WWE is not going to let you do all that face paint crap, and it just bothered me the entire time. I'm sorry.
I thought they did let him do the face paint stuff.
Didn't they kind of sparingly though? I don't imagine it being to that extent though. It's like TNA says, "Oh
well,
yeah,
we still want to see your face, man."
Yeah, exactly. And it was annoying. I know it sounds terrible. It sounds like I'm being a hater or something like that, but it was too distracting. It really, really was. And it's hard for me to really get into what he's trying to portray here. So the bottom point and the bottom line for me is the fact that, I'm okay with the storyline, where they're going with it and all. I like the fact that EC3 basically says, dude, you had your opportunity. Now you got to go back to the back of the line, the bottom of the roster to work your way back up. I think that's good. I'm glad they're not just throwing Jeff Hardy back in, So to me, it wasn't bad. I did not have a problem.
Somehow, it's going to wind up with a Jeff Hardy getting the title again.
Oh, God.
Lord.
As long as the face belt comes back.
Oh, no.
All about that face belt.
God, Gary, come on, man.
This is the worst thing ever.
With that damn face belt. If I never saw that stupid thing again, I'd be totally fine. Then we had the knockouts for the evening. Awesome Kong, of course, now part of the Dollhouse, who just still seems very shoehorned into this. And then you have a Beautiful People that are only 2 people against 4. That's never going to work out well in your favor. Yeah, what did you guys think of this build-up in this match? It was whatever, I guess.
Can I say this is the point? The beginning of the show, it is what it is. But this is the point where I was like, oh my God, is this what I have to deal with the rest of the show? I completely was not impressed. I was very just beside myself in how awful I felt like that promo was. With the backstage promo for these women, and I just thought, man, they could have done so much better. The match itself, it's okay. It was what it was. It was nothing that I didn't expect already. So I was not high on this. Let's just be honest from my point of view.
I'll give them credit for giving ladies doing hardcore match. It doesn't happen all the time. So
yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, and I agree. But at the same point, it didn't save it for me.
It's certainly better than what we got last week, which I'll take as a hopeful running improvement towards getting towards something worth watching. But the match wasn't overly. It wasn't bad, just wasn't entertaining, and mostly because the feud doesn't grab you. That would be why.
Yeah. I love it though. You said it, not entertaining. That's the problem. It needs to be entertaining. And okay, I love the little spots of the kendo sticks, but doing the whole sword fighting with the kendo sticks. Oh, cutesy footsy. Well, I don't care. It's not. I'm not thrilled with it.
Fair enough. That was what I was gonna say. Was it's really there wasn't a whole lot to take out of that. Just kind of like Paul. This feud just kind of feels like there because they don't have anything else for them to do. Beer Money's back, guys. I know Paul is super excited.
Woo!
About having to see James Storm again. Somehow they made this pretty meh. I just didn't care. And then Eric Young comes out, and boy, he sounds like, one of those whiny, man, his voice is just, it's grating. I'll say that. It's very, very grating on you. I guess that kind of fits in with his character. He's just annoying. Storm told him to come down there and, suck his whatever, basically. And we're making dick jokes on I thought we're past that at this point. Like, just
I'm sorry, I did find that amusing.
he's got a coffee cup there. Whatever. Yeah. So then they had a King of the Mountain title match between Bobby Roode and Eric Young with Bram out there. Yeah, Eric Young is your King of the Mountain champion. Woo?
I don't, there's no care happening here. I mean, Bobby Roode, I love Bobby Roode. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, support your local cool Canadians. Oh, Eric Young is
And
too.
Bram just looks like a guy now. I don't. What happened to Bram?
Yeah.
Bram was one of the guys we were like excited about for TNA, and then now he's just.
Wow.
They've taken the fizzle out of him since the TV move.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Pop
doesn't come
TV
in.
said he couldn't be hardcore or something.
Yeah. Maybe they said, hey, you see what that guy Tyrus is doing? Yeah, make him do that. So, I don't know. I'll say it this way. I talked about it when we talked about the knockouts. I'm going to talk about it the same way with this. This was nothing that I was thrilled with. I just... This is not the beer money stuff that I enjoyed in the past. It was just so hokey. It was silly.
It was like beer money light.
Yeah. Let's be honest. It really
it's
was.
It's like when you try to get the band back together and it's like the reunion tour and you're like 30 years older. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yep, you're right.
It's not the same. But you try to make it seem like it, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did anybody want Mr. Anderson having a talk show?
I know Paul did. I love the name of it. Huh?
Oh my god. Okay. I don't even know what to make of this talk show thing.
It was bad. Done.
It was absolutely terrible. Like, I don't even know what the point of this was. Like, Matt Hardy talks about how he loves his wife and his kid, and okay, we knew that already. Okay, and then, EC3, like, comes out and we have this, my career is basically on the line, and if I don't win, and, well, we know how those go. Like, anybody that's here's my problem with this. TNA, at least in America, does not have casual fans. Everybody that's watching your show already knows that if the other guy is putting his career on the line, he's not losing. Just, whatever.
It's bad. This is really bad. They're all talking over each other. We're dancing around in circles. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a bad segment.
Yes.
Never do it again, TNA.
At least Michael Bennett and Maria had a introduction to EC3. So that's going to be a thing eventually.
Which it's way more entertaining than that terrible segment. Oh my god! Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the Wolves and Tigre Uno against Eli Drake, Zema Ion, and Jesse Goddard. Though Jesse Goddard hits DJZ, so DJZ hits him, and you can pretty much guess who wins here. Yeah. I mean that's good. The champions win at least.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to build up a feud here between DJZ and Tigre Uno for the X Division title, which is nice to see them trying to invest in that division again.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I think that division, needs that, injection of the arm, kind of like you talked about earlier, Paul. I think it needs something. They did pretty well for a little while for themselves, but now it's kind of gone downhill again. We need to see them do more because, let's be honest, that division really helps TNA.
Yeah. Then we get to the best part of this show, and perhaps the best match of the entire week. Kurt Angle versus Drew Galloway. And this was just really good. They had some good near falls. I thought they might have done a little bit too many of kicking out of the same finisher. If you're really trying to put over that sick kick of McIntyre's is a thing, Kurt Angle shouldn't kick out of it twice in succession like that. Other than that, that was a little nitpicky, but other than that, I nothing wrong with the rest of the match. It was really good. 15 minutes, what a main event should be.
I completely agree. There's some stuff on. Obviously, I've been pretty harsh on this show, but this match was amazing. This was probably the best match on television this entire week. So there's something there. Angle and Galloway just have something. They go back and forth. There's a lot of obviously kicking out, as Sean said, bigger moves, which is sort of par for the course in wrestling nowadays. But they build up to a really, really fun finish, and I loved this match a whole lot.
How could you not love this? I mean, this is just one of those matches where you're sitting here saying, okay, these guys have not faced off against each other. I like both these guys. They have a lot of talent. They could be nothing but good, and it ended up being better than just good. It was, a match you didn't want to take your eyes off of. It was one of those matches where you're sitting here saying, wow, I mean, these guys are putting way more into it than I ever expected. And there's no interruptions, and there's nothing that's stopping it. There's no crazy gimmicks. It's just a great match, and that's solid. And it's honestly the reason why, if anybody asked me, hey, should I watch TNA this week? I would say yes. But of course, I would tell them, hey, the last 20 minutes. That's all you need to see. That's all you need to see. If you watch the rest of it, maybe you shouldn't. But I think this match alone was worth, even the rest of the show.
I would agree. This match was really good. I would say I think I agree with Larry's rating of the 3.5 snowflakes or whatever. If you're gonna go on that, it's well worth going out of your way to watch.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, guys. Well, that is TNA Impact for you. Now it is time for us to go on and crown a superstar of the week.
Yeah, let's do that then. Hold on, let me find the freaking. Okay. Yes, there it is. All right. Ooh.
Superstar of the week.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully we don't get any claims on that song. But anyway, we may have to change the Superstar of the Week theme, too. We don't know yet. We're going to wait until they find out. But here we go, guys. Let's go ahead and give you our rankings. So, Paul, we'll start with you. What is your top 5 rank this week as Superstar of the Week?
At 5, I had Dean Ambrose. SmackDown was pretty much based around him. Some good matches with Sheamus on Raw, other fun stuff with Dean and the Kevin Owens feud, keeping us intrigued and involved there. 4 I gave to Carmella, number 1 contendership for the women's championship over on NXT is always a good bit there. Oh geez, I forgot who I gave 3 to.
It's either EY or Kurt Angle.
Carmella.
Well, he already gave Carmella.
Oh, come on.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm blanking on 3. 2 is EY. He obviously won the title. That's something to be happy about, I guess. And number 1 is Kurt Angle. Wonderful match on TNA.
Oh, Kalisto would have been your number.
Kalisto. Kalisto's 2, EY's 3. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was getting a little worried there because I thought maybe Mr. Anderson had gotten that spot.
He would have been -12 on my list.
Sean, who do you have on your list this week?
I'm gonna switch mine around to. I'm gonna say Kurt Angle. Yeah, I think I'll have mine the same. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me personally, I thought Dash and Dawson did a great job this week. I gave them my number 5 spot. And Kurt Angle did such a great job, in that match with the Gallows, and he won, so he gets my number 4. I got Carmella at number 3. This was tough for me because, Kalisto had lost his title in the same week that he won it, and of course EY did not. He kept his title, but I still got to keep it 2 and 1, and 1 going to Kalisto, and number 2 going to EY Eric Young. So it looks like here our top 5 for the week will be number 1, Kalisto. He takes the top spot.
Hold on.
What's up?
Because Paul and I both had Kurt Angle as number 1.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Well, we talked about this pre-show when we had our whole list. Okay, we'll redo this on the fly. Do we want to discuss this? Do we think? Here's my Kalisto loses. He wins. He loses the next night, basically, but he doesn't look like he's not made to look like a fool. He gets beat up pretty bad, and he also loses because of distraction. But then he's also losing the title directly after. So, EY didn't lose his title, but he only has 1 show. And then you got Kurt Angle, who had the best match of the week, and he won. That's fine. You guys voted Angle as your top spot, so Angle gets 5 points this week. And he is the top. I guess we all agree Kalisto at number 2. Mm-hmm. That would give him 4 points. Eric Young at number 3. Right? 3 points for him. Carmella would round down, and she would get 2 points. And the last one would be, I believe...
Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose, that's correct. So he gets 1 point this week. So that is our list here, and those are points. And, of course, Kurt Angle is our superstar of the week, though. So, wow, it's good to have him back on the list. It's been a long time, guys, since Kurt Angle has been on the top spot of Superstar of the Week. So congratulations to him. And I'm really enjoying this point system. We'll try to work it out a little bit better. We kind of went on the fly a little bit here at the end. That's cool. We've got a great system going, and I'm looking forward to how these are all going to turn out. But guys, what a great show. We've had a lot to talk about, a lot of different, subjects, but man, it is time for us to get on out of here. So let's do a few things. Let's plug away, and let's go ahead and talk. Next week, we're going to have a really good show. I'm really looking forward to that one. We'll be ramping up to the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble preview.
Mm-hmm. So we have that going for us. We'll give you all our predictions, everything we think, and of course we'll have a better idea on some of the things we talked about earlier in the show about who we really feel could be the surprises, and of course who we think is going to walk out as the WWE champion after the Royal Rumble. But we also have.
We'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. We'll sort of hit the high spots of what we're most excited about with the Fantastica Mania shows. There's 3 of them. I'm going to talk to Tom, and obviously, don't know what Paul's going to be doing. Might hit the first 2 shows on Saturday night, and then the 3rd show we'll do on the back end of the Royal Rumble preview. So.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, and we'll keep everybody posted. And of course, watch the Facebook page, and of course, you'll get all your information there. We'll let you know what we'll be doing, and of course, what we're going to be covering. So, if you want to find out all the updated information for the podcast, please do that. Hey, and the easiest way to get it is to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you subscribe to the W2M Network, you'll get all the shows that we're affiliated with. That is a great way to do it. Of course, you could, just subscribe to Wrestling to the Max if you want. Hey, do both. Why not? But, you'll get all the great shows, and it gives you an opportunity not to have to worry about looking for it. It's already going to be on your player when you get to it. Hey, I love it. I love doing that myself. It makes it easy with all the podcasts I listen to. So I hope you would take advantage of that. But we got some other shows coming. Of course, we are going to delay football to football. Sean told you that earlier in this podcast. It's so late. Not only that, just coaching changes. Really, nothing else big this week. So we'll push that off possibly till Monday. We'll see where we're at that point. And Sean, any other shows you want to kind of throw out there?
Well, we do have to preview those games that are happening Saturday and Sunday, so we probably do need to do something tomorrow. But either way, I did the co-op and multiplayer on Monday afternoon, so unless something crazy happens that would dictate that we need to do a show on Saturday or something, probably we'll do another one next week at some point. I think Randy, not sure if he has another week where the Backlog Busting show doesn't show up. His is every 2 weeks. So if you don't see it next week, it'll be there the week after. He's not feeling that well, so hopefully he feels better. Check out that Running Wild podcast. They're weekly. They're the other wrestling podcast that is a partner, so they get uploaded directly. And you can listen to them if you can find them on their own iTunes and Stitcher or whatever if you don't want to, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but I understand you don't want that whole plethora of podcasts being in your thing, depending on which device you use. But that's one of those that if you subscribe to WTF Network, you can get them. They pretty much talk about a lot of the same things we do, but they do it in a lot more conversational. They don't just go through these formal reviews and stuff like that. So, if you want to hear a different take on some of the things that we discuss, that's there for you. And, of course, Patrick Ketza and Harry Broadhurst doing Wrestling Unwrapped. Royal Rumble 1992, the last time that the WWE Championship was on the line in a Royal Rumble match. And since it's one of those things I can actually watch, unlike the Shine #1 that they covered last week, which could not find anywhere online, I can actually watch it and give a little bit of opinion while I'm sitting there having to produce the show. And yeah, so it'll be kind of more like a 3-person pod, I guess. But yeah, I mean they got like 3 months of stuff already planned out for that show. So if you wanna, I think you can head over to their Facebook page or whatever, and you can find out all the shows they're doing, all the stuff they're doing for the episodes. And yeah, I think that pretty much, other than, we'll be back next week. We already told you what we're doing, pretty much.
And we did have the question of the week this past week.
Oh yeah.
And
Jeez,
we're gonna do that real quick before we get out of here. So Sean, we had that.
I need to go. Hold on,
I'll let you look for it.
I need to get on the Facebook group really quick.
That's fine. But the question, just to remind everybody, the question of the week last week was something we kind of answered in the podcast, but it's also something we wanted to pose to everybody else. And who is going to take up and stand up and take John Cena's spot while he's out? We've had a lot of other superstars be out, but John Cena being the big one. Who is going to be able to fill his position, his shoes? And that's what we asked you. And so we had different people respond. We've really enjoyed the feedback, really tremendously. And we're going to do another question of the week. I think maybe, and Sean can tell me if he has a better idea, but I think the question that we're going to pose to people this week is, who do you feel like is going to be either a dark horse or possibly a surprise winner of the Royal Rumble? What do you think? That's what we want to know from you. What are your thoughts about the Royal Rumble and who could come out victorious? Of course, now, Sean, do we have some answers for...
Well, first of all, the 2 things I forgot to do, because I try to keep the group off because people will sit there and message me or something and it'll make the sound. But seems like people that voted seem to enjoy Raw. There was 3 6s, 3 8s, and 2 7s. And then both Fonte and James Derriga, one of our Australian guys, both think that Brock Lesnar is primed to win the Royal Rumble. So we shall see if that's what happens. Let me get to where the question of the week is. I have to get down here for a little while. Sorry.
That's okay.
This thing is
It's kind of on the fly, and we're still getting used to this. Next week it'll probably be in the run sheet, but once again, I mean, this is something we're just now starting out. We are not used to it, but hey,
all right. So here we go. Like Gary already told you, the question of the week. The overall winner was Kevin Owens. He had 8 votes. Right after that was Dean Ambrose, and then Alberto Del Rio, Daniel Bryan, and Bray Wyatt, Ryback, and Sheamus also got a little bit of a nod there. So
yeah, so that's good. And it sounds like Kevin Owens definitely has a lot of support right now, and that's positive. I'm behind that. I don't know about you guys. I'm definitely behind Kevin Owens.
I'm totally behind that. I think. I mean, they picked the 2 guys that seems like the most logical.
So. But anyway, guys, like I said, that is the question of the week. We appreciate all the feedback. Of course, don't forget, next week, answer this one, about the Royal Rumble. Who do you think is going to come out victorious? What do you think? Is there a dark horse? We want your answers. We want to know. Sean will post that, pretty soon here and, let you guys answer those questions. But of course, if you have any other questions you want to send our way, anything you want to ask us, anything you want us to answer, please send them our way. You can always, put a post on the Facebook group. Maybe send us a message. Email us at wrestlingtothemax@gmail.com. Also, you can call us on our phone number. Leave a voicemail. Maybe we'll even play it on the show. 972-591-8620. You have lots of options to get in contact with us.
Tweet at us at Wrestling2Max. I was live tweeting SmackDown for the most part today. So I'm trying to get back into that now that there's not football anymore.
Exactly.
So, if you're around on Mondays watching Raw live, I'll be tweeting that, and we can all watch it. So,
sounds great. So, thanks everybody for listening this week. We hope you've had a good week, and hopefully this next week is great for you. And we'll be seeing you guys next Thursday. But until then, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.